Good morning and welcome to this session of the virtual coaching classes live organized by the Board of Studies of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. You have now, you are out of the corporate law. You've now mastered Companies Act 2013, and I'm sure you had an exposure to the Foreign Exchange Management Act, which is part of what is called the corporate laws. The economic laws. So these are economic laws which are meant to bring about some kind of an economic parity or economic, restructuring. So the goal here is not to identify, any framework or lay down a framework as in Companies Act or to identify and punish a crime, but rather to bring about some kind of an economic reform through parliamentary statute. Just for your information, most laws, when parliaments make or governments make law, they invariably have one of these characters or all of them. Either they are framework laws. Framework means Contract Act, Sale of Goods Act. All of these are framework laws, negotiable instruments, where they lay down a structure within which business can operate or people can work. So, it gives some sort of a protection. Companies Act is also a framework law in that sense. It lays down the framework for forming companies, managing them, and winding them up. So the entire law is contained there. You also have other laws which are meant only to identify crimes against society and punish them. So the Indian Penal Code is like that. Companies Act itself has a lot of that character. So it identifies a lot of offenses against companies or against shareholders or against public and punishes them. So there is punitive law, which is mostly law is meant to punish. Or law is meant to identify anything that is against the society and punish it. Lastly, you have of a recent origin, shall we say, this is of very recent origin, as late as the late 19th century. Okay, the first reform laws in England were late 19th century, and India took up this reform law very early on. The minute we became independent, there is something called the directive principles of state policy, based on which the government of India started enacting laws, one of which is your Foreign Exchange Management Act, the good old MRTP, which is now called the Competition Act, the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, etc., etc. So these laws are trying to bring about a statutory solution to an economic problem. I repeat, these laws are trying to bring about a statutory or legal solution to an economic problem. Okay. So what is the economic problem that this law is trying to address? I'm sure during your researches into the Foreign Exchange Management Act, you learned a lot about foreign exchange and why it is very important for a country like India, or for that matter, any country, okay? Because the strength of your currency to a large extent determines your inflation, or vice versa. Inflation determines the strength of your currency. I mean, economic theories are there, okay? Purchasing power parity and all that. The point is, every government wants to strengthen its own currency, but while that is happening, on the other hand, we cannot control this because demand and supply is global. For currencies, for commodities, etc. So within this framework, you have a volatile and vibrant foreign exchange market within which India plays. Now, you already heard about why the FEMA and all that. I don't want to go there. So where we were thinking that we could be insular and we could protect ourselves from the global volatility. It took a long time for the government of India to realize that this is not the way out of the problem. So the act was amended. Now, the Foreign Exchange Management Act is the positive side of foreign exchange, or the positive side. Whereas the Prevention of Money Laundering Act is the darker side. Not in terms of government, but in terms of what is being sought to be identified and punished is very tough here. Possibly one of the toughest laws. As a chartered accountant, this would be possibly, you would never want to be involved with a company that is under this law, that is coming under the scrutiny of this law. Because obviously that company has done something very wrong. Now, you might want to learn this law more as a general knowledge. It is there. You should know that these acts are punishable and that the punishment is severe and that you should not indulge in that. So this is being taught to you primarily to make you understand this is to be avoided. And please do not aspire to specialize in this law or have any pride in saying that, I am a person who helps criminals to plan in this law. So then, if that's how you are fated, then maybe you will become an expert in this law on how to evade or how to go through the loopholes. Ideally, you would be an advocate for that. You would rather be an advocate rather than a chartered accountant to do that. Nevertheless, as a member of our institute, it would be very essential for you to know about this law, because you will see this law looming large whenever you do what we casually call tax planning within quotes, tax planning within quotes, which is actually tax evasion. When you try to do stuff like that, somewhere you will be bordering, somewhere you will be on the fringes of the PMLA, the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, because these are like two sisters. They go hand in hand, tax evasion and money laundering. Money laundering is not very far away when tax evasion is there, because most tax evasion schemes involve not paying tax on earned income, which means that income has to go out of the business somewhere, and it will then become cash. What to do with that cash? Bigger question. That question will be answered by the PMLA. Okay. So once you see the pattern, you will understand how these are, which is why let us begin this day with a suggestion from a senior chartered accountant. Do not engage in tax evasion. Do not encourage tax avoidance. Within the framework of the Income Tax Act 1961, if you can give solutions to your clients, perfectly all right. No problem. But within that framework, the minute you go out of that framework, you are entering into what is called criminal area. This law is meant to identify criminals. So please, as a senior in the profession, and I know most of you, many of you here are brilliant. Your brains are, let that brilliant brain not be used for helping criminals to launder their money. Let it rather be used for positive energy within businesses to help them to legitimately raise funds, pay the tax, earn profit, pay the tax, grow, and create value for their shareholders rather than doing money laundering actually. The need for a businessman to earn profits without paying taxes is endless. Somewhere we as a profession should not be party to that. Should rather be advisors, guides, and counselors, showing them the foolishness of their ways as to the final destination to which they are heading, which is the PMLA. Okay, I know I have given a very elaborate introduction to possibly what is a very simple exam topic where you simply have to write an answer and get marks. But understand the depth of the subject. Never ever aspire to become an expert in PMLA, unless that's what you read. If you want to, I doubt it. FEMA, no problem. Please, FEMA, you specialists, where you can advise corporates and businessmen on how to handle foreign exchange, but not PMLA. As you can see, it is a highly sophisticated act. What is money laundering? It is a highly sophisticated act, which it needs brain. It's not as if Buddhas can do money laundering. Only brilliant people do money laundering and go to jail. Okay, so it is a highly sophisticated act of covering up or camouflaging the identity or origin of illegally obtained earnings so that they appear to have been derived from lawful sources. Basically, it is the process by which illegal funds and assets are converted into legitimate funds and assets. So a man earns money by illegal means, and now he wants to use it. He wants to bring it, he wants to mainstream this income, which is illegal. And when he does so, when illegal income is to be mainstreamed, there should be some method by which it can be brought into the banking system. Okay. So how it is done? is money laundering, right? So basically converting illegal or black money. Of course, there is a slight difference between pure black money and proceeds of crime. Though proceeds of crime would anyway be black money. Proceeds of crime would anyway be black money. Black money could also be legitimately earned and untaxed. Make that small distinction. A person commits crimes and he earns income based on the crime. Any crime. Contract killing, simple example, contract killing. So huge business in Mumbai, Chennai, all the metro cities, contract killing. You hire a guy, the supari killings as they call them. It's, for some people in this country, it is nothing to shoot a guy and go away. But then I have to pay for the gun. Say I have a business rival whom I don't like him. So I want him to be out of the world so that I can run my business peacefully. Now, how do I do that? I can hire a supari killer. All I need to do is to give the address. It's done very, very clandestine way. I mean, you know better about that than me, I'm sure, after watching all these serials and all that. But the point here is, this guy goes there, shoots and comes, okay? Eats, shoots and leaves. The point here is, after that, what does he do? He needs money, so you have to pay him in cash. See the reverse side of this. Obviously, he cannot take a bank transfer, yeah? How will he explain it? Because it has to come within the framework, okay? Now, finally, when he accumulates so much cash, he cannot do anything with it. Today, thanks to our enlightened Prime Minister, every avenue for using cash is slowly getting closed. Earlier, you had many opportunities to use this cash. You could, even now you have the opportunity, you can buy land. Even there, it is becoming difficult because land prices are slowly reaching the guideline values. Earlier, there used to be a gap between the valuation fixed by the stamping authority and the actual intrinsic value of the land as perceived by the market. So this difference was obviously to be transacted in cash, and this cash was used for that. I hope I'm being very explicit in this session, very explicit, because you are final level students, and I'm not going to hold any bars here. I'm going to say, no, I'm not going to tell you this or that. Better to know. Unless you know about it, you will never avoid it. If you know the reality of the dirtiness of the tax evasion and dark web and criminal activities, you will avoid it. If you don't know about it, without knowledge, you might get into such activities. That is why I'm taking this effort to explain. Otherwise, the law is fairly simple. You do this, you will go to jail. That's all, period. Nothing great about it. The asset will be confiscated and you cannot do anything with it anymore, period. That way, it's not rocket science. But what you need to understand is the background. Okay, so this was our supari killer. What will he do? See, he wants to buy a car. He can't buy it, Baba. Not simple. If he wants to swipe a card and buy a gift for his daughter, he can't do it because everything is in cash, and beyond a limit, he cannot use cash. So money laundering is used. Okay, where you convert illegal or black money into legal or white money. I make the distinction again. Black money is simply money that is earned through legitimate sources, but not disclosed for tax purposes. I siphon it out of the business without paying tax, either by writing false expenses or by not showing the turnover at all. See, it's a turnover, it's a commercial transaction, nothing illegal about it, but I have not reported it, either to the GST, obviously to the GST authorities, and thereafter to the income tax. Remember, it is GST that causes most evasion, because most people, see, when the customer goes to the jewelry shop, it is not as if the owner of the jewelry shop wants to sell or accept cash. The owner of the jewelry shop is very much happy to receive check or credit card. But the customer goes there and says, I don't want GST. Whatever, or I cannot pay because the customer has got something. Now, that is the proceeds of crime. Okay, where this guy who comes to buy the jewelry has got only cash. He doesn't have any money bank balance, though he is a very rich man, but no balance in the bank. All his money is in cash. How did he get that money? Through some illegal method. So illegal money is one thing, black money is another. Illegal money will also be black money, obviously, because it cannot be brought into the tax framework, even if he wants to. Whereas black money is money that is consciously taken out of the system by people who don't want to pay tax, and of course by fellow professionals who decide to help them to bring it out of the system. Hey, it's a loser's game. In fact, I've over across this country, I have addressed thousands of chartered accountants, businessmen, where I have made them understand it is foolishness. In the long run, it's a loser's game. The short run, maybe you might think you have done something great in your life. In the long run, it's a loser's game. I've never seen a tax evader die without paying tax on that money, that too with penalty, and that too after a lot of mental agony and insult by the department and all that. So sorry to be very, very, giving you advice and all that. Because sometimes, some of our own, I don't know, I don't think it happens within the profession. I think it's a perception by society that a chartered accountant should be able to do this. I think that is stupid. I think we should change that profile for ourselves. We should not countenance such, thoughts by society that our role is only to, help them to avoid tax. No way. Okay, we are financial advisors. Okay, we are tax experts. Idea is to protect them and make the business grow. If that is how you define yourself, believe me, you will never go here. Whereas I find a lot of people saying, sir, I'm specializing in tax planning. What does he mean? Final bottom line, what does the client want? I don't know how to pay tax. So initially you might try to go within the framework of the law and you'll find there's absolutely no way there. Maximum 2 or 3 techniques are there, which everybody knows. Thereafter, it's only about not paying tax by writing bogus expenses, not showing the turnover on top. Either you remove it at the top line or you remove it at the bottom line. Where else you will take it here? You are a chartered accountant or going to become one. You tell me where it will go. It has to be either in the balance sheet, you have to, somewhere it has to reflect. Anyway, that is not the point. Point here is, I'm not here to tell you that, don't do it. Ultimately, you will have a bad name. You will never be respected in society. Those chartered accountants who do this type of tax planning, blah, blah, are never respected even within the profession or even outside the society. They are seen as what they are, people who fix. And you're struggling so hard to write this exam, become a chartered accountant. For that only you're doing? No, sir, not for that. Okay. Sorry for being very, very, what do I say? Didactic and giving you advice. Sorry. Okay. So illegal black money gets converted into legal white money. How? We'll see that later. Don't worry. It will be told so that you will not do it. Okay. Objective of the act is obviously to prevent and control money laundering. So you know what is money. See, what I've given here is the general understanding of money laundering. Section 3 of this law actually defines money laundering, which we will see. Also, see, once I have identified a situation where money has been laundered, okay, it is obviously the word laundering is derived from the fact that black money becomes white money. When something is dirty and it is made clean, it is laundered, right? When my clothes are dirty, my wife puts them in the washing machine and takes them out and dries them and gives them back to me after ironing. It is laundered. And I can use it now without being ashamed about it. All right? This is what happens to dirty money when you do money laundering. So once you discover money laundering, okay, once the government has proved money laundering, then you have to provide for confiscation and seizure of property. The property or the proceeds of the illegal activity, which is also known as proceeds of crime, have to be confiscated, meaning taken away from that gentleman or lady and made the property of the government of India. Okay, seizure is the act of taking it away from him. Confiscation is appropriating it to the government. Thereafter, it becomes public property. It is no longer his property. So seizure, though the words confiscation and seizure are used, chronologically seizure comes first. I need to first take possession. Okay, then of course I'll keep it safely. The case will go on. Finally, the court will pass an order for confiscation by which it will be appropriated to the government treasury. Thereafter, it will no longer belong to the particular gentleman or lady to which it pertains. I use the word lady. Do you notice that? Because if women are equal, believe me, they are equal here also. It is not as if money laundering is done only by men. It's done by both the genders equally. So, right? and the punishment is common for both. Except that bail may be granted for a lady, even though, it's a non-bailable offense, bail will be granted for a lady. So we come to one of the important words in this, law, which is proceeds of crime, 21U. When you sell goods, you call it sale proceeds. So when you derive anything, it is called proceeds. You do something and you derive it, it is called proceeds. It's an English word. As against the word proceed in English also has another meaning, to move forward. Okay, so English words, the same word will have many meanings. Here, it is used as anything received in consideration. It's called proceeds. Okay, so any property derived or obtained directly or indirectly, directly or indirectly by any person as a result of criminal activity relating to a scheduled offense. We'll be seeing the scheduled offenses. Scheduled offense, or the value of any such property, or where such property is taken or held outside the country, then the equivalent value held within the country or abroad, the property equivalent in value held within the country or abroad. If it is abroad, you will convert it into Indian currency. That's all. So basically, proceeds of crime is property derived. Property here means it could be money, cash, land, any asset. But it's derived as a result of criminal activity relating to a scheduled offense. See, you can see that directly or indirectly. Okay. Person commits the crime, he is paid money directly. But many cases, that won't happen that way. See, he would not commit the crime. There will be a minimum 3 people go between the actual activity and the beneficiary of the activity. I use the word very carefully. The beneficiary of it. Okay. So the entire chain is covered here. Every go-between is covered here, because he is also, obviously he won't do it without a commission, right? So he will take something, give him. So finally, for example, the actual supari killer will get hardly 40% of the contract. Okay, for him. It's the go-betweens who will actually get the 60%. The 40% only goes to the actual guy who goes up, who is ready-made. Any time he can be arrested. Any time he can be put in jail, and he is ready for it. Imagine a person who has reached a stage in life where he doesn't care what must have happened to him. While on the one hand we condemn criminals, on the other hand let us also empathize with what happened. See, when we talk about Fulan Devi, it's not just about she was a criminal, no doubt about it. Today we can eulogize her and make her into a heroine and all that. The fact remains that what she committed was contrary to the provisions of the democratic country of India, the law made by our parliament. Having said that, yes, most cases the people who actually commit the crime come from very poor, poverty-stricken backgrounds who are forced into it by necessity and who possibly don't know better. Whereas the educated fellows, the people the rich guys who actually make them do it, imagine what greater criminals they are, that they use these people's poverty to subvert them and make them commit crime, for which these guys get the money. Just sorry to be a little emotional today, but then think about it. Don't you think our country should come out of this, that we should no longer be a country which is, seen as a third world country? Should we not become a superpower? First step is to stop this. I'm not saying that crime is not there in the US and all. This particular, if I go there, it will become need for me to explain why there is a difference between what's happening in India and what's happening in just quickly. In US, there's something called the Federal Bureau of Investigation. The FBI is not controlled by the President of the United States. The FBI can investigate the President of the United States. Okay. Now, we don't have such a strong body in India. That is the unfortunate problem. Okay. If that is there, crime would go down like anything. Okay. The federal offense is totally different. The FBI monitors the local police. Here, there's no big difference between the CBI and the local police. Okay. All are controlled. Right. No problem. That's what I said. This topic will take us into spiraling areas, where we have to be really understand how all this works. Suffice it to say, any property derived from a criminal activity relating to a scheduled offense. So what do you need to remember? The property should be derived or obtained directly or indirectly as a result of, by any person, as a result of criminal activity relating to a scheduled offense. In case the property is abroad, the equivalent in Indian currency will be considered. Obviously, what are we referring to here? Held outside the country. Okay. Since I'm not getting many queries on my query pad, let me ask you this as a question. What could be one example of the property held outside the country? If you are watching and if you are sort of interested, just put it up on the query pad. Property itself has to be defined, right? I use the word property here. So for the purpose of this law alone, see, the word property has a very, very broad general meaning. Okay. For the purpose of this law alone, they have defined it as any property or assets of every description, whether corporeal or incorporeal, whether having a physical existence or not. Corporeal means having a physical existence. Okay. Incorporeal means not having a physical existence. The so-called intellectual property and other intangible assets. So everything is covered here. Movable or immovable. Tangible or intangible. Huh? It looks like Hiranyavara, right? Where Hiranyakasipu was asking, not here, not there, neither in night nor in day, like that they have defined. Corporeal or incorporeal, movable or immovable, tangible or intangible, and includes deeds and instruments evidencing title to or interest in such property or assets wherever located. It includes property of any kind used in the commission of an offense under this act or any of the scheduled offenses. While you are here, though it's not in your syllabus, you may want to be aware of this law. There's a Benami Act is there, where a person can be, Benami Properties Act, where, obviously a criminal cannot hold a property in his own name. So he will select trustworthy people in whose name the property will be registered, right? But once the investigation goes there and that so-called Benami is, obviously at one stage he will break and he will say, hey, I had nothing to do with this property, man. I don't know anything about it. So and so. He will whisper the name and he will possibly prepare himself for death. But then, once we know the link, we go there and we start, digging, it will come out. Thereafter, this Binamika property also becomes a property proceeds of crime. Okay, because directly or indirectly by any person. Everything is covered, but the link has to be established. Friends, in all this, while I'm very strongly supporting this law and I'm saying the punishment should be severe, we have to be very careful about one thing. See, this law is meant to punish criminals, but this law can well be misused in the same way that in the coffee posa can be misused, right? Or this, by using this law to punish innocent. There could be a totally innocent person on whom a case could be framed. Now, this is where legitimately an advocate can operate, where genuinely if somebody is innocent and the documents are there, such a person should not be punished, shall we say, unfairly. That's all. Otherwise, if you have committed the crime, go get the punishment that you deserve. The word transfer includes a sale, purchase, mortgage, pledge, gift, loan, or any other form of transfer of right, title, possession, or lien. So, the word transfer is also defined here for the benefit. Please note, these words are also defined in the Transfer of Property Act, etc., etc. So, these words have these meanings given to them in this law. Now, we come to scheduled offense. See, this law contains offenses, list of offenses in schedule. The schedule has a part A, part B, and part C. The law has a schedule. The schedule is nothing but, can we say, price list of offenses. In the sense, it gives a list of offenses under various laws, very serious offenses. Okay, under various laws. You should not waste your time mugging up the schedule. Broadly understand, there are three parts. Part A, Part B. Okay. And in Part B, if the total value involved is 1 crore or more. Okay. And Part C. Offenses specified under Part C. So, scheduled offense is an offense which is given in the schedule. The schedule has three parts. Part A of the schedule. Part B gives certain offences, provided though in respect of those offences, the total value involved is 1 crore rupees or more. If it is less than 1 crore, it is not a scheduled offence as far as Part B is concerned. And the offences specified under Part C of the schedule. Now, my dear friends, when you come for punishment, you will find punishment is more severe for Part A and Part B. Okay, between the two, you will find there is a difference. More about it later. Just to give you a broad idea, some of you may still be wondering, hey, what is this crime? What is proceeds of crime? Many of you might have come from a sheltered background where you may not even be aware of such things. May not be aware that such things are there in this world and in this country. So these are all crime. Drug trafficking, where illegally smuggling drugs into India for the purpose of distribution to people. Drug trafficking. College students are targets. Most of the time, college students are targets for drugs. Okay, so they have to obtain it illegally, for which they need money, right? Cash. Drugs are never sold. But you cannot make a GPay payment for obtaining drugs. Okay, not pharmaceutical drugs, not medicines. Here, what we mean is narcotic substances, mood-changing substances. Okay, which are prohibited in India. Use of narcotics is prohibited in India. Please note the word narcotics. We'll see that word later. Narcotic drugs are drugs that change a person's mood. Problem, you might ask me, sir, what's the big deal? Problem is they are addictive and they generally destroy a person's life. So drugs generally are not a good idea. But then unfortunately, the youth of this country seem to be extremely interested in drugs. Earlier, say about 6 or 10 years ago, there was another problem with drugs, which is AIDS. Many times, when we talk about artificial immunodeficiency syndrome, we always think it's about illegal sex or unprotected sex and all. Though, of course, that could be one of the reasons. Another major reason was drugs. See, I used to visit various districts across the country. Certain states in the northeast are also high target AIDS areas, where prevalence of AIDS. See, there are some states which are identified very at that time. I'm talking about all this is history. 10 years ago, when I was auditing for an NGO, as part of an NGO for a foreign funder on this usage of funds and all, for AIDS awareness, one of these the northeastern states, Manipur, Nagaland and all. And I was asking, even within that Nagaland, the NGO, the social workers are asking, hey, what's the problem here? Why is it so prevalent here than anywhere else? They said, sir, this is not about sex workers or about illegal, about unprotected sex, but about drugs, where they use the syringe, the hypodermic syringe that they use for injecting the drug. Sometimes it's not a disposable. And so what happens is, there is a person who's infected, he uses hypodermic syringe, it's the same thing, the swallow pulls it and he also takes it, straight infection. So that's how that part of the country got affected. Now, thanks to awareness, thanks to the work done by the government of India and the NGOs, today AIDS is not such a problem as anymore. People know, disposable syringes, use of condoms and all. But the point here is, I'm sorry to give you so much detailing on all this. You might think, what is the use for me, sir? I don't want to know all this nonsense. Happy. But smuggling, I did not tell you. Contraband substances. See, anything that is not to be brought into India without permission, or you have to pay customs duty. Without paying the customs duty, you bring it in. You're smuggling. Okay? Or without paying, without disclosing the value, you ship out a beautiful, priceless statue in a Chola temple. Quietly, you send it out of the country, and and you get the money abroad. See, the price will be priceless, crores. Okay, that statue is irreplaceable. And there's a collector in Vienna who wants it. He saw it when he came here for a tourist visit. He liked it so much and he wanted to keep on looking at it. So our friends immediately, no problem, Dora, take it. And he will take it. He can't take it like that. It will be smuggled out. And he will pay in US dollars. Okay, let's see if anybody has answered. Nobody, which means that nobody is watching. Okay, whatever it is. Point here is, where will the money be kept abroad? Still people have not answered, no problem. Terrorist acts need money. Okay, bribery and corruption. I don't want to go there at all. Don't even start me on bribery and corruption. Okay, so when a government servant does not do his duty or does something that he should not do, obviously you have to pay him. How? Bank transfer, check, cash. And what does he do with that cash? Okay. Gambling, robbery, cheating, all that. Counterfeiting and forgery, extortion, sparry killing, as I was talking about, where mafias threaten a rich man and say, you pay us money, otherwise we will create problem in your construction site. Fellow does not pay, then they threaten him to kill him, all that sort of thing. Okay. So Mumbai ka regular story, that is extortion. So on. All this results in cash accumulation in the hands of the people who are committing these offenses, right? So the word payment system is also defined, that enables payment to be effected between a payer and a beneficiary, involving clearing, payment or settlement service or all of them. Friends, this definition may become very important for Bitcoin. I'll tell you, because essentially Bitcoin is a payment system. It's not a currency, but it is a payment system. It is a system that enables payment to be effected between a payer and a beneficiary, involving clearing, payment or settlement service or all of them. So in that sense, strictly speaking, Bitcoin or for that matter, any of the so-called cryptos are not currencies. They are not, period. That's it. If they're calling them currency is wrong. They are payment systems. And in my humble view, until the government of India acknowledges them, they are illegal payment systems. Okay, or shall we say, unrecognized payment systems. Right. Anyway, see beautifully what our government has done. They have not legalized cryptocurrency, but they are taxing it. In the recent budget, we decided to tax the profit on cryptocurrency, but we preferred not to, by calling them digital assets. See how carefully they have moved, in this word nomenclature. They have not called them currency, they call them digital assets. Not even financial assets, they're digital assets. Know what it is. And they're willing to tax. Of course, that is age old. See, illegal money can be taxed. And that will not convert it into legal money. Please understand. If a smuggler pays tax, smuggling will not become legal. But when this came, many clients used to call me and ask me, sir, does it mean Bitcoin is legal? I said, look here. As of today, using Bitcoin, I'm sorry, because Bitcoin is only one of the cryptocurrencies. It's wrong to use Bitcoin. It's like saying Godrej Bureau, because Godrej is only one brand. There are so many cryptocurrencies or digital assets, as we call them. They have not been actually prohibited by the government of India as of now. The time will come when they will be prohibited. The government will slowly wake up and they will prohibit it and all that. But as of now, it is not. But it is not a currency. It is only a payment system which enables payment to be effected between a payer and a beneficiary. But problem is, there is also appreciation in value, which is why it has some kind of a currency like nature. Okay, because it is used in settling transactions, we think it is a currency. Basically, these are contractual. Nothing but novation of contracts. See, I owe you, you owe him. So I agree to pay you. That is that is basically what a cryptocurrency is digitally. And in a way, I owe you. Then you transfer it to him. So sort of these contracts get exchanged again and again. And so long as everybody is accepting it, then no problem at all. That's how it works. Basically, it's a payment system. Okay. A system that enables payment to be effected between a payer and a beneficiary, involving clearing, payment or settlement service or all of them. See, that is why government is not able to get there, because it is basically contractual. The government cannot prohibit a legitimate contract between two people. Only when the fraud started happening, only when the fraud starts, only when innocent people get cheated, then and only then they will wake up and get into the issue. Till then they will say it's all legal, it's nothing fancy and all that. So, payment system includes the systems enabling credit card operations, debit card operations, smart card operations, money transfer operations or similar operations. Okay. A payment system operator means a person who operates a payment system, and such person includes his overseas principal. Why I introduced crypto here at this stage is because crypto is going to become one of the important pain in money laundering. How to identify crypto is going to become, because today crypto has come in as a solution to money laundering. Earlier there was one link missing. Crypto is that link now. Cryptocurrencies are those links where we can make payments, and these payments, the more and more they are legitimately accepted, the more and more we are encouraging criminals to use them. Anyway, this is okay. The views expressed herein are the views of the faculty only, not necessarily the views of the Board of Studies or the ICAI. Okay, these are my views as a professional who has studied the financial systems, and I'm sharing it with my students here. Right? Okay. So money laundering, Baba, what is this money laundering? Yeah. Okay, still somebody is wondering, this fellow is talking, all sorts of things. Finally, what is this money laundering? Basically, money laundering has the meaning assigned to it in section 3. So let us go to section 3. Okay, now we come to the act properly. So this is the definition of money laundering as given in the act, section 3. Whosoever directly or indirectly attempts to indulge or knowingly assess or knowingly is a party. Please underline the word knowingly. In fact, the entire legal framework, if I'm an advocate, I would go only into that knowingly. I will say, yeah, my client did pass on the payment, but he never knew what he was doing. He honestly believed. But if somebody does it knowingly, attempts to indulge or knowingly assess, or knowingly is a party, or is actually involved in any process or activity connected with the proceeds of crime, means knowingly you accept proceeds of crime as part of your payment. You accept it and you credit the person's account knowingly, okay, and then you pay him in white. Okay? Classic money laundering operation, where A takes cash, A has an entry. This is called entry, giving entry. Classic, a thing called giving entry, okay, where A has open entries in his books, credits in his books, which he uses. So he takes the cash. A takes the cash and gives B a legitimate entry in his books for a transaction. That will be open. That entry will be open. But what will happen is B for a short while would be able to show that because see, simple one. A gets, Mr. X has some cash. Obviously, either untaxed black money or proceeds of crime. We don't know. Okay. Government officer getting bribe, keeping it in his house, afraid. So now he wants to convert it. No problem. So a businessman, for many reasons, he's got credits, okay, in his books. Or he gives bills or whatever, and he says, don't worry, come. So he gives a white check, which there's a credit in the books of the IAS officer, which is straight away he'll say it's a loan. He has to explain it, some method. And this cash is given to that gentleman. Obviously, in addition to that, he will take some commission and take it. What he will do with that cash, God only knows. Whereas here, this would be white. Now, our friend, when he is asked what it is, he can give this reason and it will be supported to an extent by documents. It's shown as a loan and all. Of course, in the Income Tax Act also, it will be questioned because in his assessment, they will call for the creditor and all that. Okay? And once it is seen as a bogus credit, it will also suffer penalty under the Income Tax Act. Plus, he could also get booked under money laundering. Okay, so all that is there. So knowingly assist. So the guy who takes the cash and gives the check, he is knowingly assisting, or knowingly is a party, okay, or is actually involved in any process or activity connected with the proceeds of crime. On the day when our enlightened Prime Minister announced what is now known as demonetization, there was a huge rush because you had a very, very short window of something like 10 days within which all the proceeds of crime in the old currency, the specified banknotes, needed to be brought out. People had a lot of trouble. In many cases, those currencies were even burnt because no other gone, because no way I can convert it. But some people who had a chance, they could convert it. How they did it, went to businessman with property and all and threatened him. And they said, hey, take this cash, do whatever you want. And you give me this land document as if you have sold it to me like that. And it happened. And that was again, now we'll see how it's going to be done. What will be done with that money? How it will be brought back into circulation? Let us see. Okay. So what are all the activities that a person will do to commit money laundering offense? One is concealment of the proceeds of crime, hiding it, keeping it somewhere where nobody can find it. Possession, being in possession. Okay. Cash is discovered in a search, straight away. But then it need not be proceeds of crime. But if there is a hint also, see, in a search, if it is genuine and he says, sir, this is my business cash, I have not shown it, I bought it here, no problem. PMLA won't be involved. Only Income Tax Act will be involved. But the minute, there is a further thing, is a government official or some other link is there where he could have come or vigilance is already on to him and they have reported him and that is how the search happened. Then obviously it is a proceeds of crime. He is in possession. He's not able to explain how he got it. He has concealed it. Okay. Now, he may then give it to somebody. Now, that is acquisition or use. And finally, projecting it or claiming it as untainted property. That happens at the other end, where this cash is introduced into the banking system in small amounts. Oh, and then it is collected and brought back to the company. So if he is doing any of this, it will amount to the offense of money laundering. So for the removal of doubts, because they don't want to have any doubts, a person shall be guilty of offense of money laundering if such person directly or indirectly attempts. There's only a reversal, but clearly they are saying indulge or knowingly assists or knowingly is a party or is actually involved in any process or activity connected with the proceeds of crime, including its concealment, possession, acquisition for use, and projecting or claiming it as untainted property, right? The process or activity connected with proceeds of crime is a continuing activity and continues till such time a person is directly or indirectly enjoying the proceeds of crime by all these methods: concealment, possession, acquisition, or use, or projecting it as untainted property, or claiming it as untainted. Tainting means coloring or giving it a color. Okay, so untainted means no color, no stain. Okay, see, invariably when I'm having lunch or dinner and I'm wearing a white shirt, my wife will despair because dal or something or the other will go onto my white shirt, and then it has to be sent to a power washing for making it again white. So untainted, my shirt becomes tainted, stain. There's a stain. So the property has a stain of crime. Now what I do is the money laundering washes it and there is no stain anymore. It's seen as legitimate. So the man is able to use it legitimately and be seen as a pillar of society and a rich man at that. Now, how is it laundered? We saw what is crime we saw here. We saw these are the crimes and the proceeds of crime. Now, these proceeds of crime have to be brought in. Simple. See, on the one end, you have cash. On the other end, it has to go to a bank account and it has to be thereafter used for the purpose of the person's enjoyment. That's what I'm saying. It will be very tempting for some of you to get into this and start elaborately planning schemes, by which you can help your client to do this and take pride in doing it also. Sorry for being a little too vehement about this, but don't do it. Please do not do it. Okay. Here, if you want a record, keep a smaller record of this, just take that out. And whenever you feel the temptation to do something like this, I hope you will remember this old man's words, not to do it. Okay. Good. So how do we launder it? Many methods are there. See, if I'm worried to even tell you how it is done, because then you will catch on to it and you may want to do it. Okay. Stock markets, you see, you can't do this in all the stock markets, but the stock market from now on till 26 is going to give an opportunity for money laundering. Not joking. huge volumes. So nobody will detect you. You go there, and then specifically they will book losses, heavy losses, okay, in the stocks, which will be adjusted against the cash that they will bring in as income. So the money will come in through these bogus entries. It was possible earlier. Today, it is going to be very difficult for you because all transactions are happening online. Earlier, it was contract notes, brokers. So brokers would give bogus contract notes. Today, you cannot give bogus contract notes. There is no bogus contract note. Every contract note should be matched. Every transaction will be matched. You cannot have a unmatched contract note at all. The whole thing gets cleared electronically. Securities Contract Regulation Act is not in your syllabus, but the stock exchanges are strict about it. No way they're going to do all this. It's not going to happen. So stock markets today have lost their charm. Okay, in those days it was possible to book bogus losses in sale of shares and all, and use that loss to set off the profit, the money that is pumped in here. See, on the one hand, what I will do, I will pump in bogus sales, especially if I'm in a retail market, where cash over-the-counter sales, I will keep showing cash coming in as sales. And I will lock it. I will say, this money came in. Another method is agriculture products, because there is no tax in India on agriculture. So I will say all this money was earned by me through agricultural income, or by purchase and sale of agricultural products where there is no VAT. There was no VAT. And still there is no GST on most of these items. So you say, because the minute I told you this idea of booking sales, immediately you would have gone on and said, sir, GST is there no on that. Absolutely 18% GST. So products, which product you will try? You will go for those products where there is no GST or GST is low, etc., etc. You see how you have to keep thinking, oh, what a tangled web we weave when first we practice to deceive. Okay, this is a famous quotation. I think Tennyson, if I remember right, Tennyson or Scott? Tennyson, I think. Oh, what a tangled web we weave when first we practice to deceive. And that's all. Thereafter, it's gone. Sorry, I'm not able to get the quote right. Maybe, I think it is Tennyson, if I remember right. Sorry about it. Okay. So, property markets. Yeah. I told you, there's a gap between the value fixed by the stamping authority and the, what shall I say, the intrinsic or perceived market value, which people are willing to pay. And this amount could be taken out as cash can be used for converting it or laundering it. So most real estate developers were willing to take cash, okay, and they used to launder it. And fake companies are formed to sort of pump in the money and then transfer it and all that. Okay, creating bogus companies, loans, credits. I told you now, A is readily available. You give him the cash, he will give you a bogus loan. That is, he will give you an entry. Means it will appear as if you owe him money. That entry will be open, guys. This is unanswered question. Most money laundering people who advise some people to do this, they are unable to give an answer for this. How will you close that loan? Finally, you will close that loan only by paying tax. So these are not. See, who will be desperate to use these methods? Criminals only will be. Genuine businessman is not a solution for it. If you really want to make tax planning, there should be no problem in it. It should be end-to-end concealed. Such schemes only will work for tax planning within courts. Okay. Whereas this is one side will be open and visible. See, if in your balance sheet there are huge loans which are there for more than 7 years there, believe me, the department is going to call you and ask you, hey, what are these loans? Why you have not repaid? Who is this? Who are these people who are so great that they will give you a loan and not want it back? Are you paying interest? How much are you paying? Why he gave you? Who is he? That's all. That minute, but mostly this is untaxed income only comes through this loan route, which is stupid. Stupidest method is loans. Yeah, I tell you, and most clients and auditors do this. Regularly they will build, because at one stage the client says, I cannot pay the tax. So the chartered accountant says, what to do. So they immediately go on. They create bogus credits. And then the bogus credits are lying there. I've had so many clients walking into my office, and the first thing I tell them is, look here, one time I will help you to wipe it off. Pay tax. Slowly over a period of 3-4 years, we will wipe it off. We will bring it into the books as income. Over 3-4 years, I'll wipe it off for you. But that's all I can do. Even that is wrong, but I will do it. But after that, you reform and you become good. And no way. They will come by the time they have suffered so much in survey, search, and insulted by their DDITs and ADITs that they are ready and willing to do anything to become good. So they will obey. And then, of course, they are legitimate and they see the benefits of legitimate tax-paid life. And they come back. Okay, this is a role that I am playing as a chartered accountant, my dear friends. The last 20 years, 22 years, I have been doing it. Pride, I'm telling you. See, when somebody in the highest office in this country could accuse us on the 1st of July that we are people who do this, every one of us feels ashamed. So we should change that feeling about it. We should not be parties to such activities or take pride in doing it. If a chartered accountant circumstances have become so bad that he has to do such criminal activities, he should be ashamed about it. And there should be no pride in saying, I am into fixing tax. Yeah, I'm a deal maker and all. Shame is what I would say. Okay. Sorry to be so vehement about this. Okay, don't worry. I have earned a lot of money. I'm well settled. So immediately don't imagine I'm somebody living in poverty because I'm honest. No, you can be honest and rich. You can earn a lot of money by legitimate methods rather than, let us say we earn much more by illegitimate methods. Believe me, that much problem will be there. Health will go. By 35, you will be out. Your health is out. Stress, continuous medication, every habit will be there because you need to calm yourself now. Everything will be there. And that will further lead to deterioration, so on and so forth. Welcome to a wonderful world where, nothing will be happy for you, but money will be there. You will have a Benz car, you will have a BMW, you will have a huge bungalow, but you will not be able to meet your children, you will not be able to meet your wife, you will have no time for all that. Think about it. Okay. No great fun in that life. That's what I will say. Looks nice from outside. It's like that. I don't know how many of you have seen the Scorsese movie, the famous movie, Caprio acted in it, The Wolf of Wall Street. Just watch that movie, you will understand. The Wolf of Wall Street, where Caprio does a fantastic role. The Wolf of Wall Street. It's a beautiful story. Just watch it fully. Watch the whole movie. You will see so much, he will enjoy his life. And then finally, you will see what happens and how he is totally gone. Everything, his entire world is destroyed and he comes to a different position. This false export-import invoices is another classic method of... Okay. Yeah, in India, we have a special word for money laundering. We have a special word. It's called hawala. In Hindi, hawala. Okay, where this hawala business is done. I've seen a lot of this being done in imports. In fact, in the early stages of my practice, okay. Yeah, good. Some more questions are coming. Yeah. Okay, let me stop here. Let me explain this and then go to the queries. How this is done. See, in the early stages of my career, in 90s, I think I just started practice, 94 and all. I wasn't very choosy about clients, but still, I didn't ever want to do anything knowingly. I didn't want to be party to any tax planning or thing. But unknowingly, what can I do? But so, yeah, and I was young, rookie at that time. So I got a fantastic client, a gentleman from the north. I loved him. Still, I'm a great friend. I bump into him in common marriages of common clients and all, but he's still friendly with me. Says, Rikanji, how are you? Like that, he will say. So he wanted to have a project for manufacturing roller doors. I said, Chalo, no problem. I'm so happy. I incorporated a company for him, set up the accounting system and all that. But then the gentleman had a foreign tie-up with a foreign collaboration agreement by which he imported the machinery for making automatic doors and also the raw material. Okay, so etc. So the whole project, as we prepared it, was about 7 crores. Then I'm talking about 94, yeah, big amount. When that was the peak season for IPOs and all. Man imported 7 crores worth of 7.5. So what happened? The company went for a public issue. At that time, public issue was very common. So the company raised something like 8 crores, 8.5 crores. At that time, it was big, Baba. Today, these numbers sound silly. Remember, we are now in 2022. I'm talking about 1994. 94, 8 crores is huge. Okay, one of the mid-size issues. Okay, and so pricing was also at that time it was 10 rupee, 10 rupee. No SEBI Baba and all, SEBI and all. Just 10 rupee, 10 rupee share. And SEBI had just coming at that time. There's no pricing and all. 10 rupee, 10 rupee share. 10 rupee share, 10 rupees. No premium, nothing at that time. And so that was the concept of valuation was not even that. 10 rupee share, 10 rupees. Face value, fully paid. So they went for public issues. Issue was oversubscribed. At that time, there was a huge appetite, and this project was actually good, technically good project. But tell you what happened. The actual price of the machinery was only 4 crores. The actual price of the machine was only 4 crores, right? Including the raw material, blah, 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 4.5 crores. Whereas the company raised 8 crores. After expenses were issued and all that, they still had 7.5 crores with them. Okay, 7.5 crores of money, right? For which, what are they supposed to do? Buy the machinery, buy the raw material. So that will be, so the bill received from the foreign counterpart was for 7 crores. Whereas it's actually worth only 5.5 crores, 5 crores. 3 crores straight away, there's a difference. Right? Money is imported into India. I'm sorry, the goods are imported, the machine is imported. Customs duty is paid. Okay. Now, our man invested only hardly 10-20% of the promoter's contribution. The rest of it comes from the Indian public, right? The rest of it comes from, even that amount was actually, he had some assets which he had already, existing assets were for consideration other than cash, shares were allotted. So, and then some money got routed, and hardly he had about 50 lakhs, 60 lakhs in that business. The rest of the money was entirely from the Indian public, right? Then the machinery was imported, 4.5 worth machinery imported for 7.5 crores. Customs duty was paid, everything including 7.5 crores. They inspected, now valuation. So the customs authority needed to value. So they have to go and see globally what are the equivalent machinery valuation, so that they can fix the value of this. Now there is only one global supplier for this, and this is this fellow. Okay, the guy who's supplying it, the Australian company. So they paid it, and they have to accept it. So they charged the customers. See, customs duty was legitimately paid, beautifully paid. In fact, company went out of the way to ensure that everything is clean, and the clearing and forwarding happened, installed everything. Payment goes to Australia for the entire amount. But how much actually is due? 4.5. Difference how much? 3. Who gets it? Our man. How, where he gets it? Sydney man. How? Through company, bogus companies created in Cayman Island, in Bahamas, and the money goes there. The Australian company pays the money to the Bahamas company. Then the Bahamas company keeps it to the Cayman Island company. The Cayman Island company brings it into Singapore, and from Singapore it comes back to Australia. It does not enter India at all. Never entered India. The intention was never to bring it to India. Why should you bring it to India? It went out. And it was kept in Australia for our friend. So whenever he went abroad, he used to enjoy. He enjoyed like anything in Australia. I knew that he goes to Australia, but finally, 3 years later, I got a suspicion. I said, sir, your stock valuation I want to see, because this stock is not moving at all. And the company was continuously running at loss, never making any money, never selling. Though he did attempt to do, it was never at that level. So shareholders lost their money, right? But our man was very rich. That's all I can say. Okay, classic money laundering. So I went to have a conversation with him. I said, sir, I will have to relook. He said, what is your problem? No, sir, the stock valuation, cost or market value, whichever is realizable value, whichever is less. I think the realizable. He said, I'll prove the realizable value for you. Again, he got a global quotation, again, only from this company. And what can I do? I got a document ready with me to say that this is the valuation. So I have to value it. I cannot write it off also. And this product is worth so much today. If I sell it today, I will get it. How can you say it's less? Merely because it is like that, it became. And he smiled at me and he said, Srikanji, I tell you, I have done money laundering. You cannot do anything about it. He also said, as a chartered accountant, you sign my balance sheet, nothing will happen to you. And that was absolutely correct, because even if I have been called, I would have shown customs duty has been paid. I have got a global quotation, everything documented. But money, this is a very, very public forum, but I'm sharing it with you because you are technically, you are going to become chartered accountants. Yeah? You should know how this is done. Only then you will avoid it. Okay. Only then you will not go near such activities. Because see, at that time I was innocent. I didn't know about it. And when I discovered it, I resigned and all. That's different. But the point here is, without knowing itself, you might get into money laundering you might become an accomplice in it. So be very, very careful. Absolutely correct. Namita Goyal talks about my good friend Vijay Mallya. Exactly. Now I got it. Namita Goyal gives the correct answer as usual by using the word Swiss bank. Yeah. The bankers in Switzerland, see, Switzerland is famous for two things: cheese and, of course, chocolates, cheese and banks. The banking, they are very, very confidential bankers. They will never reveal the identity of a depositor. So most of the money that is earned through this proceeds now is kept in. And as usual, Namita Goyal gets upset and, sir, I have answered, have you received? I wish she would become a little calmer. Yeah. Which definition, Baba? Abhilash ji, which definition? Of course, Abhilash Sharma talks about, confirms that Northeast left. I hope it's not there. Intention is not to point out the Northeast, please. It's not that North. It's a beautiful place. I've traveled all over the Northeast, especially in Nagaland and Manipur. Beautiful. I tell you, some of the greatest natural beauties are there in Nagaland. See, as I was driving from Kohima to a place called Mukukchang, near the Burmese border. I was traveling through Wokha district and it was a nice place. See, I was traveling by jeep, obviously, because the roads are bad. You can't travel by car. I was traveling by jeep. And, every turning, you'll get a beautiful vista of mountains. I mean, right all the way up to Burma. You can see the mountains there. Beautiful. It's a beautiful place where nature is there. Unfortunately, having a lot of issues. Anyway, so these are the three stages in money laundering. First is called placement. Illegal funds are brought into the financial system. Okay. Abhilash, you just mentioned which definition? Very good. Abhilash, nice to know, Mr. Sharma. Which state are you from? Are you from Manipur or maybe Assam? It's Assam only? I think you are from Assam. Okay, no problem. Whatever it is. So, good. Now, Abhilash, you tell me which definition. I'm not able to, because I gave a lot of definitions. So, which definition? Is it money laundering? Definition of money laundering? Basically, it is about when you are hiding black money or illegal money, or you are in possession of black money or illegal money, or you are acquiring or using it. See, somebody is having black money or illegal money. You are taking it and using it, or you are trying to show that it is good money. For example, I told you now, A gives a check to B and takes cash. It's called giving entry. Now, when he does that, he is actually projecting or claiming it as untainted money. So he is part of it. So he is involved in any process or activity connected with projecting it or claiming it as untainted property. Right? So everybody is guilty of the offense of money laundering. If this is the definition you wanted, then I hope you are clear. Now, you should now specifically ask me a question. Sir, I don't understand this. We also saw many examples of how this is done. Okay, is the point. Right? Yeah, I could make that you are from Assam. See, Assam is a great state. Yeah, it's among the 7 sisters, it is the eldest. There are so many other sisters in that area. Okay. Luckily, by the grace of God or, my fate, I am able to travel across the country, length and breadth, both for leisure and for professional visits. I've had the good fortune to travel all the way up to Srinagar and all the way down to Kanyakumari. This side, as I told you, all the way up to Burmese border in Nagaland. And this side up to Gujarat, the seashores of Gujarat. Okay. And so point I'm making is the Ran of Kutch. Bharat Varsh, Mera Bharat Mahan. Okay. Wonderful country. Every one of us should be proud that we are born in this country, and we should take an opportunity to visit other places also. No, the Bharat is a diverse country. I have seen the diversity through travel. I know how diverse it is. So, today, for every state has unique features. Within that state, you have unique features. See, you go to Uttarakhand, it's not just one. There are 2, 3 Uttarakhunds. Okay, so you have the Kumaon, you have the Gharwal, you have so many places. You can't just define it and say, hey, this is this, that is that. Okay, so much diversity we have. First thing that you and I should do as Indians is, accept the diversity. Say that I come from this state, or I come from this district, I come from this place. Doesn't mean everybody in this country will be like me or should be like me. Accept that others could be different. Find out how different they are, why they are different. Love them for that. Learn about them. Automatically, you are worthy of living in a diversity country like India. Otherwise, we are always going to see them versus us. Okay, there is no them versus us. I'm as much a citizen of India, and as much I am a part of Nagaland, as much as I am a part of Tamil Nadu. Right? When I visited Nagaland in Mokukchan, that particular place, in Nagaland there are easily about 32 tribes. It's not as if there are one Naga tribe. No, there are so many tribes. And I visited a particular place where the Ao tribe, Ao tribe is there. So they loved me so much that they presented me a tie and sort of said, "Sir, you are so close to us. I think we should make you an honorary member of our tribe." Like that. Of course, that didn't happen. The point I'm trying to make is they presented me with a tie with the Ao symbol on it, the tribal symbol on it, and what I'm trying to say is enjoy the diversity of what our country is. It is not them versus us. It's all of us together. Okay, that's the point. Good. So basically, money laundering is about illegal funds or assets are brought into the financial system. Okay, then it's layered. We deposit it in the bank. It comes into the legitimate money banking channel, and finally, from that banking channel, the funds are made available as apparently legitimate, right? Okay. Now, wonderful. There will be a trading hub of India. Beautiful. I'm sure next time I'm in Guwahati, I'm sure I'm going to see great things happening there. Wonderful. I would love to come there when it's over to see the Twin Tower. And I'm really, really looking forward to that. I'm so happy to know this. Thanks for informing us, Abhilachi. And wonderful. So, friends, look at this simple example of demonetization. At the time of demonetization, many people had specified banknotes, many businesses. So, what to do? Suddenly, if you go and deposit it in the bank, they will ask you where you got it from. So, what they would have done, first is there is an illegal funds. Okay, how to bring it into the financial system? So they will call a lot of people, say 100 people or 50 people who are having bank accounts. Okay, and they will distribute this cash so that each one of them will go stand in the queue and deposit. This is called placement. This is called placement. This is the most difficult activity because the money is brought into the financial system. Okay, so all these guys will go stand in the queue, multiple banks, it will go into their account. From there, it has to go to other accounts. So multiple accounts, it will start traveling, getting transferred, till finally it will make a circuitous route and come back to this company, possibly as deposits or as shares, whatever. We'll allot shares to them, whatever, and then we will bring it in as capital again. So the funds are made available as apparently. So one circle, I have cash, SBN, and I thought I could use it for buying land or something, but suddenly this Prime Minister comes and says, this notes are no longer valid. What do? I'm in a mad rush. Luckily, an agent comes to me and says, "Oh, don't worry, we will take care." So this agent has a lot of poor people under his control. Economically weaker section, where he goes and he makes them deposit. Then all that is collected and sent to a bank account, from where it goes to another bank account, and finally it comes to, or from each one of those bank accounts, checks are deposited in this company's account, and these people are all shown as shareholders. There's also a method. And then finally, what to do with that? Finally, we have to wait for an opportunity and then transfer all those shares when I have it. See, someday or the other, white money has to be brought into the system to adjust this. Till such time, it will always be in a flux. But then, at least for about 10 years, he can enjoy that money legitimately is the point. Okay. I know I am trying my best to define it. Unless you are with me, you cannot really understand it. Basically, there is cash in somebody's hands. It is then deposited in bank accounts, small deposits below the radar. And see, later on when you come to reporting by banking system, you will see there is a radar below which the system cannot go. So you deposit below the system and you sort of do it. I'll tell you another story maybe later in the session, but right now it's 8:15 and I'm sure you are in the mood for a small break. So let's have a small break. Time now is 8:16. So maximum 10 minutes. So by 8:26, I would be back to further discuss money laundering. Thank you. Welcome back from your well-deserved tea break. And so you saw the bland definition of section 3. That is, any person is attempting to indulge means practice, or is knowingly, see, you should read it like this. Whosoever directly or indirectly attempts to indulge or knowingly assists, okay, or knowingly is a party or is actually involved in any process. So he is attempting to indulge in any process. He is attempting to knowingly assist, or he is attempting to knowingly be a party, or is actually involved in any process. This process only I showed you. This process consists of 3 stages: placement, layering, integration. So anybody who is involved in this, okay, where we are trying to layer it or bring it into the system. How do I do that? First, it has to be concealed. Proceeds of crime cannot be flaunted. It has to be concealed. It may be in your possession. See, later on when you come to seizure, I will tell you that for seizure to happen, possession is important. It should be discovered in possession. Okay. You see, seizure is not only under the PMLA. Seizure is a common thing. You will find it under the Narcotics Act. You will find it under the Coffee Posa. You will find it under the Essential Commodities Act. Wherever somebody is having possession of illegal substance, automatically it can be seized. Thereafter, it can be confiscated. Okay. So that is why possession is also being identified as a crime. See, think about it. You are in possession of contraband or unaccounted cash or drugs, whatever. Possession itself is a crime. Then you have to explain how you got into possession, how it came to you and all. Are you able to understand? Okay. Concealment is hiding it. And so on and so forth. See, gold is a precious commodity. The subject to GST. As I told you, there's a huge market for gold, which is below the radar. It is not, yeah, it is a crime. In as much as definitely more than a crime, it is untaxed. It is not being brought into the legitimate system. There is a lot of gold out there. So such gold, when it is sold, the real problem, the real danger would be not when it is even concealed or in possession. That can be discovered only on a search or a seizure when they enter your house and they say you are, the person who's done it. Please don't mistake me for that. You are. It's not you, anybody. So when they enter the house now, they will catch that gold. Then you realize, where is this gold coming from? So, see, most tax planning schemes are trying to give legitimacy to the untaxed wealth. We try to show that it is acquired. But suppose it is not just untaxed money, it's also illegal. That money was earned by committing a crime, a scheduled offense, then it is doubly a problem. But PMLA covers both. But more than untaxed money, under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, they are not really concerned about untaxed money because the Income Tax Act has enough and more punishment for that. Here, they are more interested in catching people with in possession or concealing or acquiring or using or projecting or claiming as untainted property proceeds of crime. Okay, proceeds of crime. So again, I repeat, black money is not necessarily proceeds of crime, but proceeds of crime is definitely black money. Black money need not be proceeds of crime. It could be from a legitimate business, untaxed. But proceeds of crime, 100% black money, because obviously who will offer it for tax here? Right? Which is what our great finance minister is trying to do. She's trying to bring the proceeds of crime into legitimate taxation, but it will not give legitimacy. Cryptocurrency cannot become legitimate by paying tax. Okay? Many people are thinking it is a wonderful way of legalizing. It is not. 100% possession of cryptocurrency, sale of cryptocurrency will become illegal. It's a question of time. When the government wakes up from its slumber and comes out of the digital dreams, then and only then will they realize that they are supporting crime. I'll tell you how they are supporting crime in another way. See, many of these crimes, need to be paid. All along they were being paid in cash. Today, they are being paid in cryptocurrency. Why? Because when you buy a cryptocurrency, and I'm consciously avoiding the word Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is only one of those. Any cryptocurrency, when you buy, there is no record of ownership. Okay, of course, if we can trace it to the banking system, to you it's possible, but you can hold it without any. See, that is the beauty of it. It doesn't have to ever come into the banking system, right? How? When you go and buy a cryptocurrency, it will go out of your account and it will be white, everything will be taxed and all, no problem. But there are many people who commit crimes. They have to be paid. And there are many people who have cryptocurrency, which they have earned, mined. So that gets transferred within that system itself to these people and they hold it. Many hackers are paid in Bitcoin. Here I will say Bitcoin because they prefer the Bitcoin. Many hackers are paid in, many illegal hackers are paid in Bitcoin. Many extortion killers are paid in Bitcoin. Pedophilia sites and all those type of vulgar, those sites are accepting Bitcoin payments. That's called the dark web. The dark web is entirely funded by cryptocurrency. Okay, and therefore definitely, ultimately it's going to happen. Proceeds of crime are going to get concealed in cryptocurrency. And anybody who is in possession, acquisition, will be in part of it. Only escape is to say, I didn't knowingly, I am not aware of it, Your Honor. That's all. Only way we can protect you is plead innocence and ignorance. Ignorance is the best way. Otherwise, that's why I'm removing that ignorance to the citizens of this country that the minute you invest in a Bitcoin or invest in a cryptocurrency, you are knowingly becoming a party to dark web. And you are knowingly becoming a party to whitewashing, money laundering, proceeds of crime. Now you are knowingly becoming. Maybe till the last 2 minutes ago, you didn't know it. Now you know it. And I told you this. Check out. If you don't believe me, go and check. Intelligent writers on cryptocurrency who are now obviously not heard for obvious reasons. When we talk like this, nobody will hear us now. But when huge cryptocurrency fraud happens and the citizens of this country, not only this country, world over, find the collapse of the cryptocurrency valuations and they find that all the money that they had, so-called wealth that they had created, will suddenly become zero. Okay, let us see what happens at that time. Okay, in the meantime, placement, layering, integration, 3 things. Placement, physical disposal of bulk cash proceeds derived from illegal activity. 100% money laundering was happening post demonetization. In front of it was happening. All those huge queues that were standing there, it was not their money that they were depositing in the bank. It was somebody else's illegal money which was being deposited by these people into their accounts. And then they will transfer it to the Dada. And then everything will be collected in one account. Then from there it will go to another account. That is layering. So placement is usually done by, innocent people or not innocent people. They will also get something out of it. It will go. Okay. This is the first step in the money laundering process. And the ultimate aim of this phase is to remove the cash from the location of acquisition so as to avoid detection from the authorities. Wow. So, see, if the cash is in some place, it can be seized. So put it into the system and let the system take care of it. So this is achieved by investing criminal money into the legal financial system by opening up a bank account in the name of unknown individuals or organizations and depositing the money. This is why, next time when you are auditing a concurrent audit of a bank or statutory audit of a bank, but concurrent audit more often than not, you would have come across the stringent KYC norms. Know your customer. So it is a duty of a banker to know who the customer is and why that account is being operated under. So, okay, KYC is a pain in the posterior for everybody. Banks also keep on. See, you keep on giving them the proof of identity. Okay, they'll again call you and say, your KYC is not completed, your account will be frozen. Hey, Baba, I gave everything to you at the time of opening. What did you do with it? Don't ask us all these questions. We are State Bank of India. If I ask you 100 times also, you have to give me. It is your duty as a citizen of the country. Wow. Okay, and they will make you do this. But when illegal activity is being done, no, the bank will not open its mouth also. They will accept any amount into any account, no KYC, nothing. It will be transferred, nothing will happen. They will watch it. Okay, but poor auditor like me wants to has one account. Okay, Mr. Srikanth KYC. Exactly when I am giving a check, the account will be frozen and the check will be bounced. Okay, reason KYC norm. That too, you can't talk to a human being. You have to go to either a call center or some sort of an automated system. And they keep on replying to your mail saying your KYC norms have to be updated. Okay, I updated it, Baba. Citibank does this. I updated it. I went to your site. I scanned it and I uploaded it. What happened? No. They won't reply to that. They'll say your KYC is not good. What to do? Okay. So KYC is a fantastic method of preventing money laundering because people have to provide their data. And when they do that, they will become known. But that method is being misunderstood by the bankers themselves. Without knowing what they are doing, they harass the customers. Okay. When there is a suspicious account being opened, it is the banker who will come to know about it first. And he should immediately alert the system and say, hey, somebody is opening huge accounts here with me without telling so many 100 accounts are opened. I don't know why. See, these self-help groups, microcredit and all, fantastic method of placement where you take cash and you give it to all these poor ladies. They do nothing. They will deposit in the account. That's all, and they will give it back to you. Okay, somehow you have to take it back from them, and it will come back to you. Okay, and layering. Then the layering has to be done. You have to move the funds from institution to institution to hide their origin. This is, see, in India, this is not very sophisticated. But if you go abroad, where, there's no stringent control on foreign exchange. See, in India, remember, whatever you do within this country, there is a radar, etc., etc. But the minute you want to push Forex out of the country, straight away you have to account for it and say what it is. And so there the bankers are a little more, which is why PMLA and FEMA have a very strong link. The minute you want to take this money out from India, it's going to be very difficult for you. It's going to be very difficult for you. Because even your so-called LRS, the liberalized remittance scheme, I don't know what it is, 2.5 crores now. I think 2.5 crores, whatever. I'm sorry, $250,000, $250,000. Okay, you might think it's a big amount, but the scale at which crime is going on, money laundering needs to be done. This is nothing. This is nothing. And one more thing, you can't just like that push it into LRS and take it out. You have to first get a certificate from a chartered accountant that it is taxed. And I know who will give it to you. No, why should I give it to you? Unless you prove that it is taxed. So on and so forth. So that's where the layering has to be done. Go into many accounts, come into this account. And by the time it is sent out of the country, you would have spent a huge amount. One more thing. Unlike tax planning, where the goal is to avoid paying tax, illegal proceeds, laundering illegal proceeds, they would actually be willing to pay tax, right? See, internationally, mafia, wherever, not necessarily from Italy, wherever, Chinese mafia, all the mafia, they get a lot of cash and they launder it. One of the best methods of laundering is to take over a loss-making business and pump a lot of cash into it and convert it into legitimate money. Okay, so this is one method of money laundering, right? So that though the hotel will not be occupied at all, please understand, the hotel or the resort which they acquire in Greece, there will be a hotel in Mykonos in Greece, Mykonos Island, where there will be beautiful resort property. Fellow is out, thanks to the global financial meltdown, fellow was almost ready to commit suicide. You go call him, pay him some X amount and take it over. Then you start pumping in money into that account because you show as if hotel has customers. It's a loss-making hotel. Anyway, even if it makes profit, there will be no tax or get concession from the government because, hey, you're bringing tourism here. Of course, there will be 20 to 30% tourists will come and go. but you show as if it's 80% document, which means the remaining 40%, 60% now will come in as legitimate money. You deposit money. You take your cash and you push it into the bank. Every day go daily collection. Today's collection, today bar collection, today restaurant collection, today room collection. Everything is in cash. The bank also may not object because most of the transactions will happen in cash. Nothing wrong. So it will go. And then you collect it. Pay whatever tax you want in Greece if necessary. And take this money out, yeah. It is tax money now. Your illegal proceeds, your contract killing money has now become legitimate money. I hope I've explained. I think I'm giving a detailed lecture on how to do money laundering. Far be from me any such intention. In Tamil Nadu, we have this saying, it says, Kalavum Katru Mara. Kalavum Katru Mara. That is, learn how to be a thief and forget it. Okay, that's what it says, but then that's not the way it is. So, know about it. Finally, reinsertion. I gave this example of Greece. Now, this is the classic money laundering operation where Chinese mafia is there in Hong Kong. The tongs are there. The tongs earn a lot of illegitimate money. Somehow you have to bring that money out of Hong Kong or out of New York and you have to take it to Greece. How are you going to do that? That is the real challenge because the cash has to physically move from, this is placement in it. Physically, you have to move the cash from wherever you are, New York, or wherever the tong is operating and collecting, you have to move it. And then you have to, because within the US, if you do that, no, you'll be in, they have very strict radar on this and you get into it. So you take it there. And then or what you need to do is, you should layer it, the placement should happen in New York. Very difficult, very difficult. So you take them a cash out, which the tongs are capable of doing, don't worry. They can pack it into cases and send it out to Greece. And in Greece, it's deposited. And then from the hotel account in Greece, it goes to wherever, Cayman Islands, where tax havens and routed through them. And then finally it goes there. This can happen in US also. You can do the same thing in US, deposit it in US banks, take it to Cayman Island, and then from Cayman or Bahamas, you reinvest it into the Greece or Cyprus. So many beautiful countries are there. In beautiful countries for tourism and also for money laundering. And you got countries like St. Kitts, you got Brunei, you name it. All of them are FATCA countries. Check it out. See, in the UN, there's a financial task force for watching for money laundering. See, money laundering is not a specifically Indian problem. It is a global problem. It's not as if only India is suffering from this problem. So there's a global task force which goes into this, and some countries have been hit red listed. They are blacklisted countries where you cannot, if you cannot have transaction. When you try to do that, FEMA, RBI will warn you. When you're trying to send money out of those countries, immediately our PMLA will be alerted. Why is this money going to Cayman Island? Or you can check out FATCA countries where their financial task force has identified them as potential money laundering destinations. So this is how it is. Dirty money integrates in the financial system, then it is transferred to the bank account. It keeps circulating, and finally you take it out as a loan or something, and you purchase luxury assets, etc. Please note this particular loose end, the loan to company Y. Okay, that somehow has to be closed, and that is where the problem starts. See, payment by Y of false invoice to company X. So company X will have to raise a false invoice, and so somewhere, my dear friends, if you want to do money laundering, you have to end up paying some amount of tax. Show it as income and take it out. So it has to be done. Many times, you hear that so-and-so is a benami of so-and-so politician. What's happening there? A legitimate business is being used by a politician to, place their dirty money and then take it out of the system, right? Which means there will be loans, open loans. How will that loan ever be closed? This is where the problems will start. So we now come to the crux of the law, which is punishment. What is the punishment for? Okay, let us have Amita Goyal today is asking all sorts of questions. Anyway, as usual, she is the queen of questions. That's all I can say. She likes to ask questions, but I wish she would learn how to give answers. That is why, because in the examination, the CA examination, suppose you had a question like this, now how beautiful it will be. Ask 3 relevant questions on Prevention of Money Laundering Act. That is all. And how beautifully you can get marks. But unfortunately, they ask you questions and expect you to answer them. Right? Anyway, just joking. And so coming to the point, this 3 crore which is lying in Australia, how will it affect the strength of Indian currency? Yeah, to an extent, the Indian currency will become weaker. To an extent, it's like this. Now, actually, if you really look at it, what has happened here? Our foreign exchange has gone out of India, but equivalent value has not been received by India in terms of goods or services. So, to that extent, there is a foreign exchange leakage out of India, and to that extent, our foreign exchange resources are depleted, right? They are depleted, so it will weaken our currency. Definitely, it will weaken our currency. If only we are able to prevent this, our currency will become very strong. If only we can prevent money laundering, if only we can retain the forex that's due to us correctly, we are able to do it. Which is why FEMA and PMLA go hand in hand. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Abhilash. Absolutely. My goal is to help you to answer the questions. Okay. But unless you ask the question, how will I know? I cannot. It is definitely, this subject is not easy. In fact, if the subject is taught theoretically, now it can be taught in half an hour. But to understand it, you need to really go into life. And remember, as a chartered accountant, you are going to be one among the 3 top professions in this country. One among the 3 top. You're going to be there, up there with the big 3. Doctors, advocates, and chartered accountants. We are the top 3. So anything that affects society affects the 3 professions. We should be aware of it. We are not just, adding and subtracting walas. We are not just bookkeepers. We are much more than that. In a way, we, the members of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, are the conscience keepers of this country. We are the conscience keepers. Maybe the advocates are the protectors of the innocent, but we are the conscience keepers. We have to keep on informing the society and people what is right and what is wrong. And we have to play this role, whether we are a CFO in a corporate or whether we are a practicing chartered accountant in our office, we have to play this role. And for which we need to understand the dark side of life and see for what it is. And then and only then can we advise clients not to go there. Okay. Sometimes, clients who are desperate for tax planning will come to me with this type of crazy money laundering plans. They will say, so-and-so is willing to give me credit, sir. So-and-so is willing to give me thing and all that. Or they are willing to take this cash. Or can I do that? Be careful. That's all I would say. Don't do this, because then we have to advise them, see, my dear Baba, see, this is the punishment. Okay, the offense of money laundering, any scheduled offense, if it is committed, not minimum 3 years, minimum, and there is a fine. No need to bother about the fine. Punishment of maximum is 7 years and fine. The fine amount is all there. You don't need to mug it up and all that. The punishment is 3 years and fine. Okay, not compoundable. And for maximum, it is 7 years and fine. Which is for any offense. Any offense. Let's go back and see. There are 3 types of offenses. Am I correct? Scheduled offenses, Part A, Part B of the schedule, and Part C. So, Part B cases will become a scheduled offense only if the total value involved is 1 crore or more. Right? Now, here comes the punishment. When you are committing a scheduled offense, right? Where money laundering is discovered, that is where what you have done falls within the definition of money laundering. So there is proceeds of crime, there is concealment, possession, acquisition, layering, whatever you are doing, caught red-handed, then straightaway punishment. Another aspect is where the proceeds of crime involved in money laundering relate to any offense specified under paragraph 2 of Part A of the schedule. Part A. Okay, Part A is the most powerful part. Okay. Part A is offences under the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act, popularly known as Narcotics Act. Okay, narcotic drugs and psychotropic means any substance that is capable of changing a person's mood or his mental state. Any substance. So that way, there are so many drugs. For example, even a painkiller is psychotropic. Okay? Because it can create a sense of well-being which is not there. So then many people become addicted to it. So on and so forth. So addiction, it causes addiction. So these are very serious. Okay. And so if it is an offense specified under paragraph 2 of part A of the schedule, that is offenses under the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act, then minimum is 3 years and fine, maximum 10 years and fine. So the only difference is the period of imprisonment is no high, provided it is a part A. So in the exam, they have asked a question like this. Mr. Honest, a notorious. See, notorious means one person known to be a criminal. He is known to be a criminal. Now, he was caught in possession of counterfeit currency notes. See, all the definitions are fitting. He is a notorious. That doesn't really matter. But he was caught in possession of counterfeit currency. So, that possession is very important, sir. For example, something may be discovered in Mr. X's house. But he can always say, I don't know about it. He can say, this is a thin gap, okay, thin loophole where most advocates will try to take their clients and make them escape. There's a small opening there where they will say, yes, he was in possession. No, yes, it was in his house, but it was a frame up. He never knew about it. Nothing, no connection. Simply they placed it and they came and take it. Something you have to show that he was innocent. But if suppose there is a raid and he's royally, squarely got in possession, then counterfeit currency notes, okay? Then this is also an offense specified under part A. See, they're given this information, which is why I'm telling, don't worry to mug up part A and all that. You don't worry, the exam, they will give you this information. What they will expect you to know is, if it is a part A crime, then the punishment is higher, 10 years. So an offense specified under part A, paragraph 1 of the schedule of the Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002. State the provision, punishment that can be awarded to him under the above act. So counterfeit currency notes, narcotics, these are all part A. So they very clearly give you, don't worry. Also identify the punishment for the offense specified under part A, paragraph 2. Okay, please note, part A, paragraph 1, 3 years up to 7 years. But if it is paragraph 2, part A, paragraph 2 is narcotic drugs. So there the punishment is 10 years. So they want you to paragraph 1, part B, part C and all, 3 and 7 and a fine. Whereas once you go to paragraph 2, narcotic substances, the maximum is 10 years. So this you should know the difference. Is the expectation from this question. Mr. Dawood Musa. There was, it combines two well-known smugglers or two well-known criminals. Dawood, of course, was a sort of a Dada in Mumbai. Dawood. Okay. I think it was Dawood Ibrahim. Dawood, of course, is a derivation of the Jewish or biblical David. So Dawood is David. So Dawood and Musa, of course, was Haji Musa, where you had long ago, in the 60s, you had a guy called Haji Musa, who was a smuggler. Okay. Gold smuggler. There, in those days, gold smuggling was a big thing. You watch some of those 70s movies, you will find finally in the final stages, there will be a suitcase with gold in it. And the hero would chase the villain on the beach. If it is a southern movie, it will be in the beach. So where there will be a lot of trees and all that. And, then he'll be running through that. And this fellow will be running. Finally, he'll catch that gold and seize it. Because the fellow will be trying to smuggle it through a ship and escape from the country. Obviously, he would have done something wrong to the family of the hero and all, but basically his escape is the gold. He will take the gold and try to run, illegally exporting gold and all. So smugglers do this, gold, narcotic drugs, from India to some countries in Africa. So what has happened is the drugs have come possibly, you see that world over, narcotic drugs, especially a very, very powerful drug called cocaine, is manufactured in Latin America. They are the best producers. Bolivia, mostly Bolivia, and you have what is the name of the country? Small country in Latin America, which some of the best narcotic, some of the best cocaine comes from that country. So they cultivate it, and they, of course, another major area is your Afghanistan, okay, where they grow poppy and they extract cocaine from that. Okay, so these are well-known areas, Afghanistan, parts of that belt and Latin America. Now that's a different trade altogether. Okay, I'm sure you are not interested, but if at all you are interested, read or watch the movie, The French Connection. It's a fantastic movie, The French Connection. Okay, so that you will understand how from Latin America and Afghanistan, this drug has to move to US, Africa, India, Goa, so Kerala, Goa, this side, Northeast as we saw, how to take it there. So, and then from here it goes to Africa. Okay, so our friend is Dawood Musa is helping that. Now, so straight away it's a narcotic drug, yeah, maximum punishment. Straight away come to paragraph 2 of part A, 3 years and fine, 10 years and fine. Right. Good. So we have seen one thing, he will be punished. But that is not enough now. That contraband substance or the drug or the gold or the whatever is available. Now that needs to be, taken care of. That is done by what is known as attachment. Okay. So the word attachment, I am defining it here. Attachment. To attach means to prohibit the transfer, conversion, disposition or movement of property by an order issued under Chapter 3. So an attachment order does not make it the property of the Government of India. All that happens is prohibited from transferring it, converting it, disposing it or moving it. Because it's a process of crime, or you have been discovered, you have been found in possession of it. Therefore, it can be attached. So an attachment order simply places a clog, simply prevents the owner or the possessor, and I distinguish between the two because in many cases of money laundering, the current possessor may not be the true owner. That comes later by questioning him, by making him come out to the reality. But as of now, he is in possession now. Attachment is there, and keep it, control it. Because think about it. The best way to control this is to control the substance itself. Where if you can put your hand there, you know that if that amount is caught, there's a big dent in their economy, in the black economy, right? So that's why most PMLA enforcement wing, it comes under the enforcement wing or enforcement directorate formed under the FEMA. I'm sure you've heard about the enforcement directorate when you studied FEMA. One of the major jobs of the enforcement directorate is under the PMLA, right? Earlier under FERA, the powers of the enforcement directorate were very strong under FERA. Okay, but slowly they have now removed that from FERA and it has now become part of the PMLA, so that the enforcement directorate now acts under the PMLA. The reason is they don't want to mix the two. See, there are a lot of legitimate businessmen who would have committed, unknowingly done something, bought money into India or something without disclosing it to the RBI, getting permission. Okay, that is an offense under FEMA, which is punishable, no doubt, but compoundable. Why should? Whereas here, remember, it is not compoundable. If they ask you whether it is compoundable, please remember why it is not compoundable. And remember, when we studied compounding in Companies Act, I told you, right? Same logic. So this is attachment. So provisional attachment. Okay, provisional means for a short period. I repeat, provisional means for a temporary period till it is made permanent. Any provisional, activity would always have to be made permanent till such time it is in place, right? So the director or other officer, director of the enforcement directorate, okay, below him you will have a lot of additional director, deputy, joint director, deputy director, additional director, etc., etc. Or other officer not below the rank of deputy director has reason to believe, the reason for such belief to be recorded in writing on the basis of material in his possession, that any person is in possession of any proceeds of crime. Now tell me, how will the deputy director or director become aware? How will he get the reason to believe? Obviously, somebody should inform. So there will be people called informer. For example, obvious examples are accountant, not chartered accountant, the accountant, the Munim Jiva, or driver, or close servant who has access to the sidekick, who has direct access to the proceeds of crime. And he has seen his boss, every other day the boss gets a cash and the safe suitcase, then he presses a lever and opens, the wall opens, there's a bureau there, he places the cash there or the gold there, locks it, he knows where it is. Things are going fine, this guy is happy, every day he gets his full bottle of liquor, he is not worried. One day some fallout between the boss and the employee, servant. Something happened. You're going to see this everything was going fine. That fellow, some planet, the wrong planet came into the right place and fellow shouted at the servant and irritated him. So Satan has come. Satan comes at the right time. The servant will decide, I will see to it that you are caught. So he goes to the directorate or rather he doesn't even go to the directorate. He sends an anonymous petition. He takes a piece of paper and writes out, this is happening. Everything he writes out, obviously doesn't sign it. That's why it's anonymous. He rolls it up and he gives it or sends it to the enforcement directorate. That is material in possession. Of course, it is anonymous. Of course, you can't. But then there is a reason to believe. See, somebody is writing this. Let me check out. Based on that, they will come on a raid. And if at that point in time, because this fellow would have revealed everything. Sometimes this fellow can be even official. In which case, the department will agree not to reveal his identity. And he will go. But then easily it will be known who did it. But then, okay. So that is how there will be material in possession. Or there could be some other bank transactions which are suspicious. Huge cash deposits in bank account and all. That's again material in possession, information. You'll be seeing later on that under this law, the government of India has the right to collect information from the banking system. So using that, they will try to, do it. Yes, Namita, if you are making a statement, you are right. Extend to, that is minimum, maximum. The court, while deciding the matter now, seeing the heinousness of the crime, seriousness of the crime, can decide to go beyond 3 years and give it 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, up to 7 years. For paragraph 2, it may go up to 10 years. You are absolutely correct. Yes, Dawood Musa, 10 years, because it's narcotics. Correct. Okay. Beautiful. Any person is in possession of any proceeds of crime, and such proceeds of crime are likely to be concealed, transferred, or dealt with in any manner which may result in frustrating any proceedings relating to confiscation of such proceeds of crime. So I told, in those old movies, I think both Hindi as well as regional language movies, you'll find the police officer, the hero will be a police officer and the criminal will be finally deciding. He would have done all sorts of wrong things, including raping the sister of the hero and all, whatever. After doing all this, he will have to run. So finally, he will pack 2 suitcases with gold and then try to run so that he will, fly out of India and all. And classic climax scenes, where the final chase and all. The point is you have to catch it in possession, because before it is concealed, transferred or dealt with, it has to be caught. In possession means the person should be having possession, physical control over it. Okay. Such director or usually gold will be caught in movement. See, there will be a lot of patrol officers going around, even police. So when they see some suspicious activity, they immediately stop that vehicle. They know whom to catch, and they catch that fellow and say, "What is in it?" Then you say, "Gold." Nothing wrong. At that point in time, what you should do? Produce an invoice and a e-way bill. That's all. If you are, then who can prevent you? Nothing illegal in taking gold from one place to another. So long as you have an e-way bill, okay, close that e-way bill. Which is why what these buggers, they prepare an e-way bill, then they take it, then they cancel it. Till such time they are caught, they will use one e-way bill. In those days, they used to do it without before e-way bill, before the electronic digital system, the bills were not raised online. So they were only printed bills. So they used to prepare a bill and keep it. So as and when they are caught, they will produce that bill. That bill will be closed. That will be accounted as a sale in that month. Then again, they will start this process again. Till every time they are caught, that one invoice will be accounted as a sale. Another method of money laundering. How that was controlled by our enlightened Prime Minister? By bringing e-way bill. So the e-way bill, what happens? It's all digital. You can't cancel it. You can't tear it up. Okay, it has to be closed. Every time, without a fresh e-way bill, you cannot move. And your e-way bill, you cannot use a 10-month-old, 10-day-old e-way bill cannot be used now. Why are these goods moving now when your e-way bill was prepared 10 days ago? So on and so forth. So, GST is one big thing which happened to this country, which is preventing money laundering. Rather, it is not preventing money laundering, it is preventing the opportunities for it. The modus operandi now needs to be thing. But anyway, just like what is that? Sorry, I'm not losing it. Whenever there is a problem in the world, I will come and help you. Bhagavan gives that promise, no? So the same way, evil also has that opportunity. Whenever the evil is trying to be frustrated, I will again come in some other avatar. So cash has gone. No longer cash is going to be useful. So the new avatar has come. Our friend, the cryptocurrency. Sorry if I'm so against. I'm not against. See, many people when they hear me talk, they think I'm against digital currencies and all that. In fact, even in this group, somebody asked me a question. I think it was an intermediate or final class. I don't know. They said, suppose Indian government comes out with a digital currency, what is yours? I said, perfectly all right. If it is a fiat currency, I welcome it. See, just like, I trust the Indian currency. Yeah? I trust the paper money that the government of India gives to me, because if at all something happens, the Indian government will have to protect its own currency. So obviously they wouldn't print currency without having the basis in gold, and without, they will be controlling it, right? Any controlled fiat currency issued by a legitimate, lawfully elected government, I'm absolutely okay. If it is going to be digital, very good. The modus operandi we will use. Absolutely no problem. I'm not against digital currency. Please. That is stupid. Nothing wrong. And that's the way we are going. Slowly paper money will be out. And only numismatists will have paper currency. Digital currency is going to be there. All of us, just like you are holding shares in dematerialized form, we'll be holding money in dematerialized form. Absolutely no problem. So long as you have a government supporting it and the government legitimizes it by issuing it under a strict system. Okay? I'm absolutely no problem. And if blockchain is going to be used for that, happiest. If the Bitcoin technology can be used legitimately by the government. It is only when a system consciously says, I'm operating outside of government control, which is what Nakamoto said, Satoshi Nakamoto said, I am going outside of the radar. I don't trust the banking system. Therefore, I'm creating a new payment mechanism. That is how he started Bitcoin. That is how the whole thing started, right? Post global financial control. When a system says I'm outside of the purview of law, now anything that is done with that system or in that universe or in that framework is illegal. Okay, so is what I would say. So, today it is not illegal. Matter of time, the Reserve Bank of India will suddenly wake up, like Kumbhakarna. They will wake up. Of course, Finance Ministry will wake up, and they'll suddenly start putting laws. And do you know who will be caught? The final stage, the victims will be innocent people who got. The criminals who have by then escaped and taken the money and run. And nothing can be done about it. Finally, guys who are holding Bitcoin and all will be ending up paying tax or going to jail and things like that. Anyway. Okay. Don't worry. Wait. Time will tell you. Paritranaya sadhuna Vinasaya chadushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Just like the Lord comes sambhavami yuge yuge, He will also come sambhavami yuge yuge. Okay, some new thing comes, and again we create enough opportunity for the Lord to come. Let's see how it's going to happen this time. Anyway, it's up to you. So if some of you have already invested in Bitcoin or in digital currency, or you or your uncle or your father has invested, and you're seeing a huge profit in the bank, in that statement, definitely you'll be unhappy with what I'm saying. There a Buddha, he doesn't know anything, simply talking nonsense like that. No problem. Okay, this Buddha, when he was young, also was telling the same thing about share market, right from Harshad Mehta's scam when I was young, when I was 23 years old. Every time a scam, I want this. Said, this is a scam, this is a scam. At that time, they will say, keep quiet, you don't know anything. Scam will happen. They will lose everything right down to the jetty. And then they will say, why you didn't think about it. What can, when people are being warned, they will not listen. Okay. So, when somebody is caught in possession, such director or any other officer may, by order in writing, provisionally attach such property for a period not exceeding 180 days. Right? So, you can hold it only for 180 days. After that, you have to either make it a permanent attachment or do something about it. But for 180 days, a provisional attachment order can be passed. Remember, possession is a crucial ingredient in attachment. You cannot attach something if it is not in possession. If the proceeds of crime are not in the possession of the person, then attachment is not. For example, sitting in the air-conditioned office, the deputy director cannot attach the property. I got an anonymous information that 1 crore is there. He cannot send a letter saying, you are the 1 crore which is there. No, you should go there, search, catch, and catch hold of the contraband or catch hold of the currency, catch hold of the guy, both of them red-handed, and then say, hey, what is this? Then immediately attach it. At that point in time, you are only attaching. Nothing else is happening. It's only an attachment, right? You are bringing that property, or you are bringing that proceeds of crime into the governmental control, right? For example, even in a search operation, when any cash is seized, immediately they will take it and deposit it. They won't keep the cash. No, it's not as if the commissioner will go and lock it in his locker and keep it. No. It will be straight away deposited in the government treasury, clearly identified as proceeds seized in as part of search operations, so-and-so SSC, PAN number, and will be kept there till final disposition of the case. Finally, if the amount is taxed, then this money will be adjusted against the tax. So when the tax is levied, this money will be adjusted against the tax and closed. Till such time, it is attached. Once that happens, it will be confiscated. So for computing 180 days, exclude period during which proceedings are stayed by a high court. Add a further period not exceeding 30 days from the date of order of vacation of such stay. See, what happens is, the minute attachment is there, see, especially when they are attaching immovable property, right? Especially when immovable property. Suppose the proceeds of crime is an immovable property, then they will pass an attachment order, which means the property will then become the government. Now, at that point in time, that person may go to the High Court and get a stay and say, look here, this attachment should be lifted. So the High Court may give a stay, okay, for attachment. So that should not be counted for computing 180 days. So in the meantime, the public prosecutor will be fighting that vacation of stay, and he will be saying no. So he will be saying that stay is wrong. So finally, the court may be satisfied. Then only this is a criminal case. So they will vacate the stay. So the gap between the two dates, from the date your advocate got a stay till the stay was vacated, should be subtracted, should not be considered while computing 180 days. Suppose on 1/4 the attachment was made, for example, 1/4 attachment was made. So for 180 days you can keep it. So 1/4 means April, 6 months, let us take casually. I'm not counting days. I am not counting days. So don't come and give me days calculation and all. Just doing it very casually. So April, May, June, July, August, September. So technically nearing 30th September, 180 days will get over. Hey, if you count, you will get a different date. Yeah, 180, because obviously April 30. So if you want to do it in calculator, tell me. But the point is, somewhere in September, it has to get over. End of September, it has to. In the meantime, the assessee went and got a stay. Around, on say 15th of April, he got it. From 15th of April, the stay was there for that. And he was trying to fight the case and all, but sorry, he lost it. The stay was vacated on, let us say, okay, 15th of May, which means 30 days. So, for those 30 days, you will exclude it now, which means your provisional attachment can go on for another 30 days. It means up to October 30, you can keep the provisional attachment will extend. So, whatever period is stayed by High Court, till the date of vacation, if there is any period, that can be excluded. So the period of provisional attachment will further move, because if you exclude that, it would be less than 6 months now. So that added to the end, and you will again be able to enjoy it. The government can take that much freedom, time is there for them to take the decision. Remember, while all this is going, the case will be conducted before the court, and all sorts of petitions and applications they'll be making. Okay, so of course, if any advocate says, I'm going to specialize in PMLA, I will say, with my blessings, please go, because they can do it. Because their purpose is not to assist in the money laundering scheme, but in helping innocent people who may be accused, or even guilty people, to go for a plea bargain, to come out with a solution and to get out of it and start leading a normal life. So nothing wrong. In an advocate specializing in PMLA, suggest you should avoid getting into PMLA and all that stuff. Rarely it's going to be of use to you. So now, before you can attach it, a report should be forwarded to a magistrate, or a complaint has been filed by a person who is authorized to investigate, like the director, before a magistrate. You already know who is a magistrate. Do you remember from your special courts and all that? Magistrate. You got the chief judicial magistrate, you got the judicial magistrate, you got the metropolitan magistrate. Okay, all of them are below the High Court. They're all magistrates. You wouldn't call them judge. He is a magistrate. Okay, so you have to go to the jurisdictional magistrate. Okay, and you have to get a authorization to investigate. Okay, and once that is given, cognizance is given, then attachment order can also be done. Because once I enter, see, definitely no, at the time when I catch him in possession of the drugs or contraband, my case would not be framed. But in the meantime, if you allow him to keep the gold, he will sell it or do something. So we attach it and keep it. Then we file the charge sheet. Then police comes in. Then we make a complaint before the magistrate. So the case will be argued. He'll appear before the court regularly. He may give something in his defense, whatever he wants, so on and so forth. Okay. So if the director or any other person not below the rank of deputy director has reason to believe is not attached immediately under this chapter, then the non-attachment of the property is likely to frustrate the proceedings. Then, okay, he can make a provisional attachment, right? We already saw that. Sorry, it's being repeated. Then he can go for a provisional attachment. Now, post-attachment, a copy of the attachment order shall be forwarded to the adjudicating authority by the director. So what has happened? Search has happened. They have broken in or gone in, possession. He is not able to answer. Attachment over. We have filed a complaint before the judicial magistrate, and we have also forwarded the report and all, and we have attached it and keeping it. Attachment is over. After that, you have to send a copy of the attachment order to the adjudicating authority. Remember, once the attachment order is received by the concerned person, he can go against it. Okay? He can file for vacation. Right? You can't simply attach it and go away. You have to give him an attachment order, because that is the appealable order. He has to go on that and ask the director to vacate it. Ask the magistrate to vacate it. Okay? The director or any other officer who provisionally attaches any property shall, within 30 days from such attachment, you should file a complaint stating clearly under which section, under which rule you are catching him, and etc. etc. So while attachment is going on, very, very important, this section shall not prevent the person interested in the enjoyment of the immovable property attached from such enjoyment. For example, if it is an immovable property, you got tenant in possession. Now a tenant in possession has certain inalienable rights. Okay? Because a tenant in possession cannot be evicted. Even by the owner. He has certain just like that you can't evict. Finally you can evict. But you can't just like that catch him by the collar and throw him. It's a process of law. You have to first serve a notice, you have to go to court, get the eviction order, all that sort of thing. So any person who is entitled to enjoyment of the immovable property, their rights will not be affected. Okay, who is a person interested? This is only with respect to immovable property. See, movable property, no problem. If you are catching him with currency, gold, narcotics, whatever, just take it and go. Take physical possession and go. Deposit it in the government treasury. That's it. But if it is immovable property, you will seal it. But if tenant is already in possession, his enjoyment cannot be, disturbed. Is what this section is saying. A person interested in relation to any immovable property includes all persons claiming or entitled to claim any interest in the property. Of course, see, I could be a buyer genuinely buying the property without being aware of that it is a proceeds of crime, unknowingly. Now, I'll be a person interested. So I can move my advocate and ask them to file a application by which the court will give me the right to use the property, take it, then they will decide. Finally, they will decide. Okay. So I would be telling them, Baba, I bought the property, here's the money I paid. Fellow took the money from me. So that once I'm able to prove that I am a person interested and my enjoyment, then what happens? The immovable property will come to me. But the money paid by me to him, that they have to trace it now. And somehow they have to catch it. And suppose any money is still pending. Suppose I have paid an advance of 2 crores, property is worth 5 crores, another 3 crores pending now. They can say, Chalo, if the property belongs to you, you negotiated, you unknowingly did it. Now you pay the balance 3 crores first. They can do that. Okay. I'll pay the 3 crores under court order. Everything will be in the court order. I'll deposit in the court. So tomorrow, if that guy comes and asks me and says, hey, look here, there is a PMLA action against you, because of which I was forced to pay that money into the court. You go pay, you go to the adjudicating authority and get it. Yeah. Why are you coming to me? Because you sold proceeds of crime to me without telling me. So that's another case. But right now, property belongs to me. Money is yours. Deposited in the court. Go fight with the adjudicating authority. Prove you are innocent. Take the money and go like that. So I'm just giving this example to help you understand. Okay. All this is time bound, Baba. You can provisionally attach 180 days. Within that time, you have to file a copy of the adjudicating order, which can also be vacated. A stay can be given, etc. for attachment. Finally, a period of 30 days is given for filing a complaint. Right? So, Mr. B purchased a flat out of the proceeds earned by drug trafficking. Wow. The flat was attached by the director. Good. Proceeds of crime. Attachment is possible. Director of Enforcement, after complying the procedures laid down under Section 5, PMLA. Mr. B got a stay from the High Court for any proceedings under the said Act. Stay was subsequently vacated. State the relevant provisions of PMLA for computing the period, if any. Whether Mr. C, son of Mr. B, can occupy the flat during the period of provisional attachment. C is a son of B. So C is the person who is claiming as a legal heir. Okay, he can always claim. So he is a person interested. He can be allowed to enjoy. And this is the answer. Okay, for this question. Right. Basically, friends, this is not a problem-oriented question. This is a theory question disguised as a problem. They're giving story called B, blah, and all. This is a simple question, which is, what are the relevant provisions of PMLA 2002 for computing the period of provisional attachment where a stay has been granted and is subsequently vacated? what is the provision of PMLA for interested persons in interest. Instead of that, they are given a story. Based on that, they are asking you to write. So, we already discussed the answer. So you have adjudication, which is there are authorities under that. Adjudication means passing final order under that law. You will find adjudicating authorities were there in FEMA also. Under FEMA also you had adjudicating authorities. Do you remember section 13 of FEMA? It was studied adjudicating authority. There again you have director, deputy director, law director. Same guys, except that they play a different role. There they are more into management and control. Here, punishment. See the dark side of FEMA. This is the dark side. Where here they will be very tough. When they come as the enforcement directorate, they will be very tough. The way they deal with the person will be as a criminal. Okay? And they will deal with him accordingly. He won't have the respect that is normally given to a genuine businessman. Right? So they've created this framework. You have the director, additional director or joint director, top of the pile. Below that, you have the deputy director, assistant director. These guys are all civil servants. Okay, they would have sort of written the exam UPSC. They would become IRS or whatever they will come here as civil servants. Okay. Such other classes of officers as may be appointed for the purposes of this act. Below assistant director. Right. How does adjudication happen? There is a complaint under section 5 in respect of provisional attachment. You remember there was a provisional attachment under section 5 and we said within 30 days a complaint should be made. That complaint is given. Then there is an application under section 17(4) and 18(10) in respect of seized property. Okay. Usually immovable property will be attached. Movable property will be seized. Shall I repeat this? Immovable property will be attached. Movable property will be seized. Right? Of course, bank accounts will be attached. So, depends. Shares can be attached in the sense the depository participant could be instructed not to permit any transfer of the share till such time it is disbursed. All this happens. If the adjudicating authority has reason to believe that any person has committed an offence under section 3 or is in the possession of proceeds of crime, it may serve a notice of not less than 30 days on such person, calling upon him to indicate the following. So post-attachment, post-seizure, a complaint is filed, right? Or an application is made and the adjudicating authority has received the report. Remember, a copy of the attachment order has come to the adjudicating authority. Now, the adjudicating authority will send a show cause notice. Where he has to show cause why this should not be confiscated. So he'll be asked to produce the sources of his income, earning or assets out of which or by means of which he has acquired the property attached. See, this has happened for many of my clients. Sometimes, you know what happens? My clients rightly or wrongly engage in foreign exchange transactions, forex transactions. And some of them, definitely money is sent out of India. A huge amount is sent out of India from a group. See, even through LRS, when a huge amount is going on, they'll come and start sniffing. Hey, what's happening here? So see, LRS, liberalized remittance scheme, is a method by which a person can take out up to $200,000 out of India. But you can't take proceeds of crime out of India. So you should show that it is genuine. So which means when somebody sends, say, $50,000 or $25,000, nobody's bothered. Suppose a whole series, there is one group where 10 people are sending $200,000. All of them immediately what? So they are investing it in a Singapore-based company, or they are investing it in a property in Cyprus or whatever it is. See, Indian government has no problem what you do. So take it out, liberalized remittance scheme. But how did you get it? That we want. So they'll ask you to come regularly for hearing and prove the source of your income, earning or assets. I remember I did this once for one of our clients. Everything was genuine. But the whole, that's what I'm saying. Once you get into PMLA, they operate with suspicion. So I went with the bank statements, assets, proof, everything. Literally about 10 files I took, huge box files. And I gave everything to them. I said, look here, these are the documents. See, everything is genuine tax-paid money. They have taken it out. That is their choice. He wants to go and settle down in Cyprus. Who got you to prevent him? You gave him the LR scheme. He went out. Then they got satisfied thoroughly. They went through it. They got satisfied. They said, chalo, Srikanth, go. Your client is now free to go because you have proved the source of his income, earnings, and assets, he has used to acquire the property, etc. So which is attached or seized. Okay. So you have to produce evidence and other relevant information and particulars. See, this is representational. I'm not saying you don't get involved here. Absolutely not. Because where a PMLA notice has come to my client because of this reason, and I know the facts, and I know for sure that there is nothing illegal, I'm entitled to appear as a chartered accountant and explain the matter to the authorities. And they will be more than happy to receive a chartered accountant who has the knowledge to tell them what it is. And because the client may not be able to explain, and then show the whole thing, and then show that the money has gone into a company that we got permission for it, and we have put it there. And using that money, I've acquired a property in Cyprus. Why are you doing it? Hey, why am I doing it? It's not your business. I want to go to Cyprus. I want to Cyprus. It's my choice. But this money is fully taxed. The source is here. Okay. But if somebody is not able to explain the source, then comes the problem. Okay. Which is why most money laundering advisors within courts, chartered accountants, will be doing all sorts of nonsense activities to legitimize that. Okay. And sometimes, the directorate may also agree to accept what they are saying, close the case and go. Depends. Thereby creating further money laundering needs. To show cause why all or any of such properties should not be declared to be the properties involved in money laundering and confiscated by the government. So once the adjudicating proceedings are over, at the end of that, they will start taking action for confiscation. Okay. Now, in the interest of natural justice, the beneficial owner is entitled to notice from the adjudicating authority in respect of properties held in the name of a Benami. See, how will I come to know? The immediate question that possibly will rise in somebody's mind is, sir, how will we know that this guy is a Benami? You will not, because the entire record shows only his name. Obviously, the beneficial owner's name is nowhere. You will get to notice. You will get to notice this when only when this guy accepts that he is a Benami. And when will that happen? See, you call the Benami and you ask him to give source of his income, when he paid the tax, how he got the money. At one point in time, he will shake, because he doesn't have any sources to prove it. Okay, and that point in time, he'll throw up his hand, he'll say, I fall at your feet. Oh Lord, please, this property belongs to X. Then you have to serve you should serve a notice on X before adjudication. Okay. Similarly, joint holders are entitled to notice, and they can come and object. They can say, look here, I am a joint holder. I am innocent. I am not aware. So 50% of this property is out. Balance 50% you attach him on his behalf. Like that, you can argue. See, this is where I am again and again saying advocates, they are entitled to get into money laundering, PMLA law, and specialize because they will protect the innocent. But auditors, no, don't go there. Don't get into schemes. Don't help clients to put up schemes, finally get into trouble with PMLA and all that. Don't do that. Okay. But if the genuine client has got a PMLA problem because of thing, then try to help him out by providing all the information, explaining it politely to the government and explaining that, see, this is a legitimate case. Don't come here. They are also more than happy because they got other things to do, not waste their time on an innocent case. Okay, good. Now, yeah, Udit, correct. Mr. Kumar Udit was asking. So, he asked that question on RBI currency. Will RBI currency be able to prevent black money transactions? No, sir. Actually, you know how black money transactions happen because we are still permitting 2 lakhs. Up to 2 lakhs can be paid by way of cash for purchasing goods. This is the only final loophole left available. Okay. which includes immovable property also, which means you should reduce that limit and say you should prohibit. So once you bring digital currency, you should say, or the RBI currency, you should say all payments should be made only on RBI currency. It should not be made on the basis of cash. So you should reduce the ability for a owner to, even then black money will be there, because there will be a parallel economy for goods. Will be super, but I have a feeling it won't. Because today, most businessmen, in retail and wholesale are sick and tired of helping other people to launder their money. See, I'll give a typical example of a jeweler. See, jeweler wants to do business, his gold is a commodity. For him, he is not into help. He is not into cheating. He wants to pay tax. Believe me when I say that every jeweler wants to pay tax. They don't want to hide their income. But the problem is, the guy walks in, he wants to pay cash. And if this guy does not accept cash, the next shop is willing to accept the cash. So how will this happen? So controlling black money is a bigger activity. Merely digital currency will not solve it. But yes, there's more and more acceptance of digital currencies and digital payment systems. Forget even digital currency. Even today you have GPay, you have, whatever, all those pay, phone pay, blah. That itself is a good sign. Why? You know what happened? Many people today are thinking GPay is like cash. Baba, it is not. Your PAN number is linked. Many people are telling, give payment by GPay, I'll take. So earlier where they took cash, now they are taking GPay. And if they do not disclose it, they will be in trouble. Some of these, they're going to get superbly caught. There are going to be a lot of small businesses or medium-sized businesses, which will be having a turnover of more than 1 crore, who are accepting GPay, and they may not show it, thinking that GPay won't be seen. It's like cash. No, your PAN number is linked. So suddenly they'll get a notice asking, which is why I've educated my clients, Baba, GPay is similar to bank. Like that. They don't understand this. Okay. So yeah, if your goal is to reduce black money transactions, then it's a different attack altogether. You should not give, there should be no opportunity for a person to use cash. See, there should be no opportunity. So long as there is an opportunity to use cash, it will go there. So we will create it. Like suppose you plug that to pole also, you can. But then think about it. Corrupt government officers are going to be there. They're going to take cash, right? Any office, I'm not really talking about the IT department. Every government officer who has an opportunity to be corrupt is going to be corrupt. And he is going to take cash. What will he do with this cash? Politician, he needs to give cash for votes. Where will he get the cash from? Okay. And then, of course, you have the whole lot of criminals. The contract killers, then drug dealers, prostitutes, pimps. All of them, everything is cash, man. That entire economy is cash. How will you control this, you tell me? I don't know. Seriously. Okay. It's a bigger question. I don't want to go there. It's not that they don't have answers. I'm saying this audience is not suitable for that discussion at all. It is going to take a really tough politician to control this. And such a politician is yet to emerge, is what I would say. Such a politician is yet to emerge. Maybe that politician will come later, the statesman will come later, who will say, I don't want to be beneficiary and I will close all the loopholes. Till then, politicians also have a vested interest in not controlling black money. IAS officers and IRS officers have a vested interest in not controlling black money. So till such thing is there, the businessman is the least of the problem here. Okay, it's the least of the problem here. Genuinely, the fellow wants to get out of this. Okay, no businessman wants. Today, wherever I speak, wherever I address audiences of entrepreneurs, they want to have legitimate growth in their business. They want to grow and they don't want to cheat the government. But my neighboring shop is accepting cash, sir. If I don't accept, what will happen? So fill that loophole. This is my broad idea. But against politicians, I'm saying there are honest politicians. I don't know. But they're definitely honest officers. Please. I've had the good fortune to meet and apply before very, very honest officers in the department. But for every 5 honest officers, there are 3 dishonest officers. So how will you control? Who is going to control? How will they ban? Okay. Think about it. Correct. You are right. Seek and enjoy. But with court order, these rights can be snatched. Okay. Namita, there seems to be some problem in your typing where you are starting a question and it's not coming fully to me. The question is not coming fully to me. Okay. So finally, the adjudicating authorities will give a finding. Okay, after hearing the aggrieved person. Okay, and if they are not satisfied, if they are satisfied, accepting. If they are not, then the AA shall, considering the reply, if any, to the notice, hearing the aggrieved person and the director or any other officer authorized by him, taking into account all relevant materials placed on record, it shall by an order record a finding whether all or any of the properties referred to in the notice are involved in money laundering. In the example I gave you, at the director level itself, I satisfied. Forget it, never went to the adjudicating authorities. Director did not file a complaint. Even at that stage, I proved it. Director, he knew that if he goes there, it's going to be a waste of time. So he stopped. Okay. But if the director has attached or director has seized and in possession, no way to prove, then director will fight the case. And finally, the adjudicating authority will give a finding that it is proceeds of crime. Once it is done, then such attachment, retention or freezing of asset or frozen property or record will continue for a period of 365 days, so long as the proceedings are going on, to be frozen. Okay, and the case will go on, and it will become final after an order of confiscation is passed by the special court. So, property, movable property is seized, immovable property is, or bank accounts are attached for 180 days, then complaint is filed, then based on the complaint, the adjudicating authority adjudicates the matter, then once the finding is given, 365 days it will be kept. Till such time the matter goes to the special court and the court passes an order for confiscation. The director or any other officer authorized by him in this behalf shall forthwith take possession of the property attached. Once the adjudicating authority gives a finding that it is the proceeds of crime and it is guilty of an offence under FPMLA, then the director shall take possession. And if it is not practicable to take possession of a property, then the order of the confiscation shall have the same effect as if the property had been taken possession of. Suppose it's in a location where we are not able to take possession, whatever, still it is as if we are, the director is in possession. Finally, the case will come up before the special court, where the special court will finally decide whether there is an offence of money laundering. If they say there is an offence of money laundering, then the property will stand confiscated to the central government. If the offence is, if they say no offence has been committed, then the property will be released to the person entitled to receive it. Now, where a property stands confiscated to the central government under Section 8, in such manner as may be prescribed, the special court may also direct the central government to restore such confiscated property or part thereof of a claimant with a legitimate interest in the property who may have suffered a quantifiable loss. I told you now, if I have paid an advance for purchase of the property is attached, that money can be given to me. My money can be restored. Because after all, genuinely I gave an advance here against that property. So when the property is finally sold, I'll get my money back. Or I can go to the court and say, hey, give the property to me. This is the market value. I am taking it. I'll pay the balance into your account. You adjust it against you. That money you take. The confiscate that money. This is also a valid argument. I can say, hey, I already paid an advance. Money is the property. Let me start developing because I'm a developer and I need to develop the property and make money. Already I've negotiated. These are the terms. As per the guideline value, no cheating, nothing. I am giving genuine. Here is the balance money. Take it, register the land in my favor. I will proceed with construction. Why should we waste? Because of PMLA. In the meantime, keep that money with you. And the other money that I gave also, if you locate it with him, you take that. And confiscate it is what I would say. No, we can't do that. Then what you do? I already paid 2 crore to that Bagana. Give it back to me. At least you do that. You can't do both. Now. I'm a sufferer here. Now, all this I'm telling in nice English to you casually. All this has to be in the form of an application before the special court. Advocate should go there. Believe me, this will take easily 2 years. Every time you go there, every time the advocate wears a black coat and stands up, you will tell something, court will say something, you get adjourned, come again day after tomorrow. We'll keep on going. And advocates will earn money like that. Wonderfully, they will earn money for that. I mean, sometimes they make this comment, I feel like that, but fact is that. Anyway, so later on, when you are studying Arbitration and Conciliation Act, remember, going to court is the last thing that you should do. Before that, you explore all the ADR before going to court. But of course, criminal proceedings, nothing can be done. You forced to go there. Okay. If it's a case of a property, then the property will vest. The ownership of the property will be transferred from the owner to the directorate. Okay. So they will absolutely in the central government, which is nothing but the enforcement directorate. Okay. So there will be an appropriate authority will be appointed for it. And that appropriate authority will hold the property because, see, that property will have to be sold now. There will be so many people coming and claiming it. The income tax department will come, the customs department will come, the, of course, the Money Laundering Act also, penalty will be there. When they sell the property, everybody has to be paid. Okay. Similarly, if the owner of the property has created an encumbrance only on account of, shall we say, with a view to prevent money laundering activity, then the government will be, then such lease will be ignored, or that person cannot claim as a person having interest. Right? K used his car for smuggling cash, and the special court found on conclusion of trial that an offence of money laundering was committed. The car was under hypothecation. Can that be done in spite of the encumbrance? Absolutely. Even if there is an encumbrance, the car can be confiscated. And this will be managed by an administrator. I told you, an appropriate authority will be appointed, an administrator who will manage the property and finally sell it and dispose the proceeds. Okay. Now, this is something you read in the NCLT provision. Similar to the NCLT, the adjudicating authority is also a quasi-judicial body. It has all the powers of a civil court while trying a suit. We have already seen all this when we discussed NCLT. Every one of these items we saw when we discussed NCLT, right? So there's an obligation on banking companies. Okay. Just give me 1 minute. I know there's a background noise. Some construction work is going on in my house. So I've requested my, the person, most important person in my house to sort of keep it in abeyance. I've requested a stay order for the next 5 minutes while I complete this session. Okay. And she has been kind enough to grant it. Okay. Going on. So the final point that you should remember in this law is the obligation of banking companies. Banking companies, financial institutions, and intermediaries, when they see some suspicious transactions, they should report it, for which they have been given certain limits. So, reporting entity means a banking company, a financial institution, intermediary, or a person carrying on a designated business. Obviously, what are the designated business? Luxury cars, gold, dealer in precious metals. Right? See, who are the people? Playing, any person carrying on activities of playing games of chance or kind, casinos. Because once you have illegal money, what you will do with it? Yeah, it will never go to illegal activities, assuring you. Illegally acquired money will always go in illegal activity, gambling, drinking, etc. The Inspector General of Registration means the sub-registrar, because illegal money may be used to buy a property. Real estate agent may get cash or money. Dealer in precious metals like gold, etc. Anybody who is engaged in safekeeping and administration of cash and liquid securities. For example, banks and depository participants. Okay. Such other activities, including, for example, they may call luxury. For example, if somebody is buying a Rolls Royce, it will go to the government. Why? Because of how did you buy it? Source. Where do you get the money from? Okay. So the person reporting entity should maintain a record of all transactions up to the limit, above the limit, I should say. And they should keep furnishing to the director periodically those details. See, today, all this is not done in paper. It is all digital. As the transactions are occurring, it gets collected. The bank has the software. Using the software, they upload it and it goes to the enforcement directorate, where huge data is collected now. Data analytics software is used to look at patterns and pick out patterns and catch hold of people. That's how it is done now. And they should maintain a record of documents evidencing identity of its clients. Remember your KYC. So all information maintained, furnished, or verified is to be kept confidential. Nothing. They should only give it to the government, and the government will only use it with confidentiality. Okay. Records should be maintained under clause A and B. Okay. Maintaining a record and furnishing to the director up to 5 years. With respect to clients, you should keep it for 5 years after the business relationship has ended. Even though the client has ceased to be a client, even though the bank account is closed, the details should be kept for another 5 years. Similarly, any information which is submitted, the base data should be kept for 5 years from the date of the transaction between a client and the reporting entity. Right? So before entering into any transaction, every reporting entity shall verify the identity of the clients, examine the ownership and financial position, including sources of funds. Banks have to do it. Okay. Record the purpose behind conducting the specified transaction. Okay. Now, even jewelers are coming into this, which is why jewelers should collect PAN. Okay. Above 2 lakhs, jewelers should collect a PAN. Above 1 lakh, jewelers should collect a PAN or some identity. Okay. Ideally, Aadhaar. Where the client fails to fulfill the conditions, then the entity shall not allow the specific transaction. Please be careful. Suppose a jeweler sells a gold jewelry to a person without taking the proof of identity, etc. He is committing an offense under PMLA. Okay? Where there is a suspicious transaction, then the future monitoring of the business relation of the client should be increased. So this is mainly meant for banks and also other reporting entities. Once this is done, if the reporting entity does not provide or comply with this, first step, they will issue a warning. Then they will direct them to comply with and the periodical reports. And for the violation, it's an offense under PMLA, they can impose a penalty of 10,000 rupees, 1 lakh. So there is a hierarchy under the PMLA. The adjudicating authority, against them you go to the appellate tribunal. Then of course you have the special court for trying the offences and confiscation, etc. Against the order of the special court, you can go on appeal to the high court. Okay, so you can go on appeal against the order of the adjudicating authority to the appellate authority within 45 days. It is possible for the appellate authority to appellate tribunal to condone for sufficient costs. All this is similar to NCLT and NCLAT. You have NCLT and NCLAT, same. Okay. Against the order of the, you can go on appeal to the appellate tribunal, and the appellate tribunal should complete the matter within a reasonable time and pass the order. Okay. The appellate tribunal matters will be decided by a majority. Okay. And such point or point shall be decided according to the opinion of the majority of the members of the appellate tribunal. Against the order of the appellate tribunal, you go to the high court. Just as in FEMA, against the fiat, you go to the high court. And again, NCLAT, you will go to the Supreme Court. Whereas against the appellate tribunal under PMLA or FEMA, you go to the same guy only. Actually, the appellate tribunal under FEMA, you study it, fiat, foreign exchange appellate. Same guy only will handle this. Okay. Against that, you go to the high court. This is similar to FEMA. Okay. So again, you have a time of 60 days with a condemnation for delayed filing. Offences under PMLA shall be cognizable and non-bailable. Doesn't mean that bail cannot be given. You cannot get a bail on your own word of mouth, word bond. The bail petition will be opposed by the public prosecutor, and the public prosecutor may have to give a reasonable bond. If it is satisfied, then the bail will not be granted. Otherwise, the bail will be granted upon suitable terms. Okay. For non-bailable offences, automatic bail is not possible. That's all. He cannot be released on his own bond. Okay. They might ask for collateral and etc. Exception is a person who is under the age of 16 years or a woman or sick or infirm. This is what I said. If offence under PMLA by a lady, one consideration is the bail can be given on the word of own bond. Okay. Finally, we have offence of cross-border implication, means any conduct by a person at a place outside India which constitutes an offence at that place and which would have constituted an offence specified in Part A, Part B or Part C of schedule had it been committed in India. And if such person transfers in any manner the proceeds of such conduct or part thereof to India. So, offence is committed outside India, proceeds are transferred into India. And such an offence is an offence under the Part A, Part B or Part C. Okay. And it's an offence at that place. Similarly, any offence committed in India under Part A, Part B or Part C and the proceeds are taken outside India. So this will be more often than not. This is taken outside India will be covered. See, the idea is, as we already saw at the beginning of the session, where will they take the money? Switzerland. So that will come under cross-border implication. Offence is committed in India, politician accepts a huge bribe in India, and the proceeds of crime are kept in Switzerland. It is an offence of cross-border implication. Okay. So the Indian government has reciprocal agreements for cooperation in connection with these offences, except Switzerland. Finally, Swiss Bank also, they are supposed to have given the details of the account and all. We are told in WhatsApp University, we do not know. And why action is not being taken. Okay. So Mr. Rohit has been in employment in Germany. He was involved in conduct which constituted an offence in Germany. The conduct would have been considered an offence in India as well. Okay. The proceeds involved in the offence was 60 lakhs. So Mr. Rohit attempts to remit 50 lakhs into India, but was not successful. Now, is this an offence of cross-border implication? Yes, it is. Clearly, it falls within the definition. So to answer this question, you will write the definition of offence of cross-border implication and then say this falls. This is a classic example of a problem-oriented question, which, you have to 4 parts. State the facts, represent the facts, write the law, which is nothing but this, and then apply the law to the fact. Conclusion. Therefore, the contention of the government of India is correct. When you write like this, get full marks or at least 98% of the marks, 95% of the marks allotted you will get. Okay. So I thank you for your patient listening, and the time is exactly 10, and we have completed PMLA, Prevention of Money Laundering Act. Definitely not a very easy enactment, a little complicated, not complicated, not what you are normally used to. Okay. And so quick questions are there. If any asset, what is Namita Goyala, Kumarmangalam Kali. If any asset is considered and there is a party found not guilty, then party can recover. No, as such, in India, such thing is not possible, sir. It is a good question you are asking, but in India, such a possibility is not there. Though, of course, you can file a suit against the government of India for harassment. You can. If you can ask your right, but there is no direct provision in the law, but you can file under the CRPC for wrongful arrest and wrongful prosecution. You can. And you can ask for compensation. You get a good lawyer, you can do it. Why not? But you should be proved innocent. Rarely that happens in this case. Yeah. Somewhere you will be tainted. If you want to claim compensation, you should be totally innocent. Pure as driven snow. You would never be involved in this matter. It's somewhere is tainted. But if such a person is there, innocent to the core, yes, why not? He can file and claim compensation. Yeah. Yes, provision is there in CRPC, he can. Not in PMLA. Sir, in Nirav Modi case, PNB gives so heavy amount of loan without proper document. No, not under PMLA. See, not under PMLA. PNB has not committed any PMLA offense. They gave a loan. See, once he got the loan, he took it out, right? That is where the money laundering starts. Okay? So, the crime committed by Mr. Nirav Modi was taking loan under false pretenses and not repaying it to the government. It's a civil offense. So the PNB can file a suit against them, which they did not do. They were violating RBI guidelines, but not money laundering. But then the money goes abroad, not their money laundering is that there. This bank may not have been involved. Some other bank may be involved. How it went to Antigua, we still have to know. But PNB is not liable under PMLA, not under PMLA. Okay. Some officer in IOB, PNB would be liable under for violating RBI guideline, etc. But not. Okay. There again, it's not PNB. It is that particular officer who participated in this activity. No, see, don't bring SFIO and all into this. Namita Goyalji, your problem is you think too much. Stop thinking too much. Restrict yourself to the subject. Become a chartered accountant. Then keep on thinking, asking questions. But it will not be my problem to answer your questions. Okay? Don't worry. Sir, at that time, I will no longer be your teacher because you will become chartered accountant. I will become your student. Okay? Sir, will central government assign cases if this lapse? Not SFI. SFIO comes under the Corporate Companies Act. There is a separate enforcement directorate. Why SFIO? There is an enforcement directorate. Now we are speaking about it, right? All these guys, so many people are there now. See, they will be there now. I'll show you. All these authorities are there now. They will go and they will do it. Okay. Thank you very much for your wonderful participation. Looking forward to meeting you again on Friday when we will take up Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. Have a great day. Bye. Class over, sir.